Am I the a-hole for getting annoyed at my sister-in-law dying of cancer for ruining my wedding?
Oh, gosh, get it together.
What the frick?
You kind of sound like a major a-hole, pal.
You sound like a buzzkill.
You sound like a buzzkill. And this is to answer the question, should sick family members be prioritized at a wedding? And it comes from Snoo61002, who says, I don't intend for the title to be so harsh sounding. Well, it is, but I don't know how else to put it.
There must have been another way.
Also sound blunt, but I'm just posting the facts as presented. So I'm marrying my partner, Andrea, who is from another country. Her sister B is dying of cancer. It is heartbreaking. She is a young mother and wife. Her diagnosis was about 4 years ago. When she was first diagnosed, she was given 1 to 2 years. Since we are in a different country, as she, B, remained in her home country with her family after her sister Andrea immigrated. We saved up some money and traveled to say goodbye to her. It was about at the 1.5-year mark when we went to say goodbye, and we had gotten engaged soon beforehand. So we also went to visit some of the family and asked them how long they needed to save to come across the country for our wedding, as our dollar is much stronger than theirs. They said 2 years, so that is what we agreed to. So basically it seems
they're like, we're gonna have an abroad wedding.
2 years from now.
Yes.
Checked in with the family to see if that was a good time. We spent a month with her, laughing, lamenting, spending as much quality time as we could with her. By the end of the trip, though, and with the chemo, she was exhausted.
Wow.
We said our heartbreaking goodbyes, assuming to never see her again. And then she made a miraculous recovery.
Okay.
With a less than 1% chance of happening, which was awesome.
That's amazing.
We, along with her other family members who also immigrated, such as her father and brother, decided to put money together and support her to move over here to spend the rest of her life with us. That was about a year ago.
Okay.
Amazing.
Positive so far.
Positive so far.
Slithy Tove.
Slithy Tove says, lol, there's going to be a huge twist.
I think there is a huge twist on the horizon, and I'm worried.
Now, my partner and I are getting married in 2 weeks. So we're like way fast forwarded about 2 years from that time point. All of her family are coming to visit. It's a big joyous occasion with lots of travel. We forked out thousands to help her family get here, and they're all staying for a month or so to celebrate our wedding and spend time with us. What? A month?
Wait.
This is Europe.
Yeah, no, because they're saying that. Wait, what?
This is Europe.
Yeah.
Because only Europeans would be like, oh, we'll just take the whole month off.
Just take a month off. I mean, I understand from like we saved up for 2 years. Let's just make this a whole vacation.
True. Which I'm the only thing I'm shocked
logistically
is they were able to coordinate everyone.
Yeah. Well, how many people do we know how many people are coming?
I am reading in between the lines that it is small with family.
Yeah, because if it was just, like let's say it was 10 to 20 family members.
So we went to visit some of the family.
Yeah.
And ask how long they needed to save to come across to the wedding. So it's not even the whole family. It's just part of the family. So far as we know, I'm guessing it's maybe, but like still 10 or 20 people able to spend a month somewhere is
very, very impressive.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But I digress. You Europeans and your months.
You Europeans and your month-long weddings.
2 weeks ago, B got a bad diagnosis.
Oh, no.
They found lumps and they said she had about a year to live. She, for obvious reasons, did not handle this well and lashed out at us and our wedding, telling us not to talk about it around her. Because now I think it's like, she was like, oh, hey, now I will get to go to the wedding. And now
I'm finding out that I
can't be out there for a month away from probably my chemo, my hospital, etc.
That's really that is really. I don't think anyone is the a-hole. I don't think she is the a-hole right now for her reaction.
Victim of circumstance.
Yeah, that is really devastating to learn that after finding out that you made a miraculous recovery and then to find out that
because probably it went from like couldn't go to oh my gosh it's a miracle I can go I have my whole life ahead of me to now I cannot go again, even just for I'm guessing probably just like the chemo and being close to her treatment center.
Yeah.
or what? Maybe she can. We'll see. Maybe she can make it to the wedding, but not stay the whole month. I don't know. We'll see. My partner has always kind of lived in her older sister's shadow, so she was really excited to be celebrated and made a fuss over for once. But B has told everyone about her diagnosis and has started saying, "This is the last time I will see most of you." Now the focus is completely off of my partner and our wedding and is completely about B. I feel heartless and heartbroken, but I'm frustrated by this. She has been going out of her way to make sure the people who are coming across, who have paid thousands for flights, not that it matters that much, are spending as much time with her as possible, as this is quote unquote the last time she will see them. Now this period of joy and celebration has an undeniable black cloud hung over it, and people very obviously have stopped making my partner feel special. On top of this, B has maintained her stance that we not talk about the wedding around her. But the big issue is that B got married during COVID, so never got a father-daughter dance. She wants to have one at our wedding after my partner has a father-daughter dance, after her own song, which, to be honest, is sad as F. I have said no.
Yeah.
To the dance.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think we'll keep reading about.
Yeah.
I think given her situation with the health and the fact that she, like, I'm thinking from the POV of this is my sister in the same scenario, I would want her to have that dance because it's like a special moment. She's been through so much.
I think I would give a dance, but I don't think I would do it right after my the main person's dance, you know? I think you could do it at a different time, because I think that,
or like what's a different way of like honoring,
like
maybe there's a way that's like more like siloed away from celebrating the main person and more focused on that person's thing.
Yeah, I think there's a way where you can because someone said I see both sides of this, and I think I do, but I think I do see both sides of it. And it's just also, you need to remember, like, it's, Emma Bear says, B, this isn't your wedding. Yeah.
And Duchess Kasana says this is such a complicated situation. I don't know if I have an opinion on this.
I don't know if I have an opinion either.
It's tough, you know? It's like, I don't know.
It's like, she is right. This maybe is the last time she's going to see a lot of her family members. And they're going to see her. And then
the flip side of the coin, should that necessarily stop them from being able to,
enjoy their wedding?
Separately from caring for you and being with you and doing all of the things, be able to enjoy and celebrate their life. And they as crazy as to say, they don't know when she's gonna go, so it's like, okay, maybe we just do it as we planned. And
maybe it's having conversations saying, do you want this to be a sad day, or would you rather have like another happy day with us and celebrating with your family?
Yes. 100%. I have said no because my partner wanted to say no but felt too guilty, so I had to be the bad guy. I also told my partner that if we're not going to talk about our wedding around her sister, then I don't want her sister talking about dying around us. Now I'm being called an a-hole. I do absolutely feel like one, but I also feel this is grossly unfair to ask us to brush our wedding under the carpet because of this. Am I the a-hole? Just off the bat, and we'll get all the story of the context. I'm kind of, my initial gut take is that maybe there's a little a-holery on both sides.
I think so.
Where it's like, hey, just, obviously a horrendous thing to go through, but kind of like what you said, hey, don't we want to kind of like all celebrate a happy moment together? And we're kind of assuming that OP and their partner are supportive of B and are with her and are being good siblings and friends to her as she's going through this process. Well, I think two things can exist at once, where it's like, hey, you can help someone through this hard time and also do something beautiful to celebrate your love for each other. I think that those two can coexist at the same time.
Yeah.
And then on OP side, I think that saying like, oh, don't talk about your sickness.
That's the only thing, because I didn't really think he was the a-hole until I think that's the only kind of a-hole-ish comment that he made. Yeah. Of saying, especially because it's to his wife, that's her sister she's losing. And I think it's just given the fact that she was offended by it. Yeah. Like the OP's wife was offended by that comment, I think is an indicator that,
OP is feeling away, right? Because he's like, I just want to like, probably he's like, we've done so much. This has been such a long journey. We had like the goodbyes, we did this, but then you came back and now it's back. So he's probably like, hey, we have contributed and are like doing good. Don't like punish us for doing good. But that doesn't excuse, that doesn't give him the right to be able to do that.
I think it's just a complicated situation, and I think they can find a way to give B what she wants to to an extent.
Yes.
But I think I do understand wanting this to be, their day.
Yes.
Because it is.
100%. That's perfectly fine. But we have some relevant comments.
Ooh.
Messy Thoughts 47 says, I recommend assigning a trusted family member or friend to B on your wedding day. Let this person handle B, i.e. do their best to prevent B from making any scenes, escorting her out from the venue immediately if necessary. Be very solicitous to her to the point of aggravation. You shouldn't mingle. You'll wear yourself out. You shouldn't drink doctor's orders. Let B have her dance at the end of the event. Let the band / DJ / person in charge of the music know that B's dance is not to happen until X time and what song should be played. Let them know B is not to be given the mic under any circumstances. I wouldn't be surprised if she says, but I'm dying, and your response should be, but you're not dead yet, and today is about Andrea. And do not allow her to wear white. Do not allow her to dim your joy. Do not allow her to dictate to you or Andrea. And finally, you may need to issue an ultimatum to B. If she pulls any stunts, misbehaves in any ways, tries to steal Andrea's moment, you will have her escorted off the property immediately and barred from re-entry, including if she faints during the ceremony or any other important moment. What if she faints for legitimate? Anyways, if she faints, call an ambulance / have her handler take her to the ER and refuse to leave until she's seen a doctor. It's too bad, but you and your friends and family will have to be the bad guys. Move quickly if B misbehaves. Redirect conversations. B, I have less than a year to live. You, your friends or family would say, you must be so thankful to see Andy and I get married today. Isn't she gorgeous? You, your friends and your family will have to make up to Andrea for her family's disinterest / lack of attention. Good luck, OP. Update us.
They gave us a whole freaking game plan. Yeah,
that was a lot. I don't fully agree with all of them.
I says this comment's so mean.
Yeah, I
don't know if I honestly think it's like intensely mean. I think it's harsh. But I think they were just trying to give OP this full game plan. Of
I see the sentiment. I think it could be good to have someone be like, hey, could you just kind of keep an eye and see if she does anything? I think it would be more like if she starts doing something, then like taking her outside and being like, hey, like you're doing way too much right now. This is I think assigning someone to her to help just to see, but A, help her like medically, and then B, like keep an eye just to make sure she doesn't cause
I think that is a good idea. Yeah, I think this is a pretty intense comment, but I think there are things to take away from it.
The direction of the structure trying to be created here, I think
is good. Yeah.
Is good. I think most of everything in here is I generally agree with what's being said here. Some of it is like a little too, like the fainting part, I'm like, just if she faints, then take her to medical attention. If it then
they were saying that to have someone there to like take her to the ER.
Yeah, to the ER. Like the first when I was reading it, it sounded like they were assuming.
Yeah, if she faints.
Yeah, Jane Digital. If she faints, kick her out. Yeah. It's like, okay, like just treat her medically, and then if it becomes obvious that she's like faking it and doing it for attention, then take her outside and say, hey, you can't do that. Like I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, Wife Lost says, I will totally come do this. I will be the dying sister distractor. Wow. We have a random internet stranger just coming to the rescue here. You don't even have to pay me, and I'm a nobody who you won't be sad is missing your day. I am happy to be a bish, but a nice one. It's basically my superpower. Wow. Well, there you go.
Okay. Well, you know who to call.
There you go. You have your person. Mizzy von Muffling says, if true and she was given a year to live, she could give her sister that one effing day and stay quiet. Yeah, this is the thing. I think like you can like, hey, this person can have one day. I could empathize with her being like, oh man, like especially if she can't make it, like you're gonna be all celebrating and like that's a tough like thing to swallow. But at the same time, you got to give them one day.
One day,
especially if they're like
they've been planning
constantly planning and constantly being supportive.
Yeah.
You know, she makes it about herself, her missed dance, her missed whatever, and ruins the day for you guys that way, assuming she's telling the truth. I get weird vibes. If I were you, I'd go to the courthouse / elope without telling anyone and cancel the celebration and have one way later. But they want to they've
been saving up for this for 2 years.
No, wait, that comment's bad. That comment is exactly the opposite of what they want.
Yeah,
literally the point is we want to have a celebration and she's making that harder.
And do one way later. They've waited 2 years for the family to be able to afford it.
Also, I don't think that they they necessarily want her to not be at the wedding.
Yeah,
I think they want her there.
Yes.
If my sibling was, gonna pass away soon, I would want them at the wedding.
It was just a question of, can they hold the wedding, or is it too much for them to even have the wedding? And it's unclear whether or not she can make it or not. We don't know yet. Opie said, we considered this. My partner had a breakdown over it and said she wanted to do this. I asked her if she was sure. We had a conversation and she changed her mind. We've done too much, prepped too much, gotten too excited for the whole time together to just pull the plug. Mundane Bike says, get married at a courthouse quietly, then do the wedding as planned. No one needs to know except you and your wife. But the thing is the wedding celebration.
Yeah.
I don't
understand these comments.
That was just, I feel like that's, again, just like further away from what Opie wants. And the judgment on the story was not the a-hole.
Yeah, which I understand.
But we have an update 16 days later.
Whoa.
Okay. People have been asking for updates about my post a couple of weeks ago. The lead up to the wedding was a bit nightmarish. Okay. Sister-in-law tried to tell someone they couldn't come to the wedding because of something they said. They told sister-in-law she could only afford a really nice new car because she and her partner are staying with her dad and he's paying all her medical bills.
Yeah, that's kind of messed up though.
That is very messed up.
Why would that person say that?
We curbed that by changing our seating plan last minute, asking the person to come, and he still came, thankfully. But that's
but that was rude.
Yeah, that honestly, that I think is worth a wedding uninvite, because that is
rude
to your sister who is dealing with cancer and facing death imminently.
Yeah, was probably like, hey, I got this new car, and they're like, yeah, well, you only got that because your dad's paying for all of your medical bills.
And it's like, well, gee, I'm dying, so my family is trying to care for me, and I'm trying to have something nice.
Oh, my bad. I should be under crippling medical debt. You're right.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me actually not enjoy my life and get nice things. Let me just die
me be
in
sad
misery
for the rest of the year.
Wait,
for you.
So a family member said that to the sister-in-law?
Somebody
or
said.
Friend. Yeah.
Someone. A friend. Yeah.
I have a conspiracy theory that this person has had something similar happen to them that's happening at OP, and that they got so fed up they just said it.
Oh, you're saying that they've been in a similar situation as OP, where it's like someone was trying to like, hey, cancel the wedding for me.
Yeah,
and
or
they're
like
annoyed with that person.
Yeah, like this family member got like attention taken away from them because of the sister-in-law's situation.
Perhaps.
And then he got so fed up, he was like, well, your dad's paying your medical bills.
Maybe.
Yeah. Devil's advocate says, but why did she say that they were uninvited to begin with? That's not her decision. Which is true. I think that's I think I was just more focused on the comment. I was like, that's a rude comment.
Like the fact that like so far we haven't gotten any defense of the sister. Like I do think two things can be true at once. I don't think that the sister-in-law is entitled to be able to do whatever she wants with the wedding, but also I think that like they should reprimand this person.
Say, hey,
yo,
don't be like,
never
thank
talk to
God
my sister
you're
that way
still
again.
coming. Yeah. They felt like they were just,
Bill Conkling says, is it really an expense if they're just going to sell the cards?
Bill Conkling.
Jesus, Bell.
Bill Conkling.
Bell, Jesus Christ.
Bill Conkling, you're not allowed to talk to this sister either.
You're a savage. God. Not in the good way. So then the plan was to go up to the town the wedding was in for a few days for my wife to spend time with her family. We paid for her little brother and little cousin's accommodation because they couldn't afford it. Week of wedding, sister-in-law convinces both little brother and cousin to only travel up for the wedding, not to stay with family. Sister-in-law wasn't traveling up because of some vague and changing reason. Okay, so now we finally got clarity.
Yeah.
They did want the sister-in-law to come, but sister-in-law was like, no, I'm not coming for a undisclosed a mystery reason. A mystery. So Opie says there was a fight on the family side. It supposedly got resolved and sister-in-law got given the hard word. Like she got like a
talking to
a reprimanding. I'm guessing that's like reprimanded, like kind of had a stern talking to. But then little cousin didn't come up with the family and stayed home with sister-in-law.
Is this sister-in-law's child or a separate?
I'm going to assume child.
No, wait, as
little
in
cousin.
OP's little cousin? Presumably. So
Which
maybe
could be
this is her.
Yeah, that would be the
sister's
niece or nephew. So that's not sister-in-law's kid.
Yeah,
sure.
no.
Yeah, I don't know. some little cousin. So I told my partner to directly pass this on to sister-in-law. I was in a different accommodation for the lead up. If there was a medical event, I'll call and cover the cost for an ambulance at the smallest hiccup. Okay, so now they're trying to resolve like, hey, if you're worried about health reasons, I want you to be here, which is great. And I think shows again, like, hey, we're still in it and we're still here to help you. We just want our day. That's all.
No, I think this is good.
If she plays up, her husband will take her home immediately and without argument, or myself and the other two ex-bouncer groommen will kick them out.
Okay.
So if she acts if she's
like, blah, blah, blah,
which I think is like, it's both ends where it's like, hey, I will literally make sure you are totally like medically prepared for anything that happens. But also if you act up and start trying to ruin the wedding, I'm going to have you escorted out.
I think that's fair.
I think this is fair.
It's not doing it in the moment without any warning. It's giving you ample time.
Totally. Communicating it.
Yeah.
I like it.
We got a slight conspiracy theory in the chat.
A slight the Tova's conspiracy.
Yeah, she says, I don't think she got a second diagnosis.
That would be crazy.
That would be crazy. That would be a big old plot twist.
If her family doesn't want this to happen, then they will get this sorted before I do because they've disappointed me with their soft approach. And now they've all been warned. So it seems like OP's kind of like laying down the law. Here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Edit. The dance happened. Oh, wait. So we're...
The day. Wait, what?
Hold on. Okay. I think the wedding is now... We went from lead up to the wedding has happened with just... Edit. Here we go.
Edit.
Very, very unceremoniously for a big ceremony.
Edit. Wedding happened.
Edit. The dance happened, but on our terms. It was when the dance floor opened to everyone, and it was a happy song.
Okay.
And the day went off without a hitch. It was beautiful, perfect, happy, funny, and everything we wanted it to be.
Woo.
No drama, no major issues, and my new wife loved every moment.
Oh.
She was spoiled and made to feel special. Thank you for all your suggestions and kind words. We assigned mother-in-law to sister-in-law for the day. Good idea. There was almost a hiccup when sister-in-law's uncle reversed her brand new car into my ring bearer's car and sister-in-law started firing up, but it was curbed. A beautiful day because of you guys' support. So truly, thank you. And
okay, that's kind of annoying though.
Yeah, that does suck. But we will, because it's a nice new car and she got it and she's sick and all that.
I don't think they're just like, congrats. I'm happy you had a good day.
Yeah, not relevant.
There you go. So
no juice,
guys. That is the end of the story.
That's the end of that.
All in all, we talked about OP maybe saying some a-holy stuff at the very beginning of the story.
Yeah.
To close it out, do we think how OP approached this wedding was a-hole move or a good move?
I think in the end it was a good move.
I agree.
I think OP I don't think there was necessarily an a-hole in this story. I think B maybe was playing up a lot, but fairly. I mean, going through a really hard time.
Yes.
So I think we have to give her a little bit of credit.
Yeah, this isn't like one of those stories where it's just like the randomly entitled sister and parents or whatever. Like, I think B is really going through something, and the fact that nothing really happened on the day other than her getting upset because her car got hit, which again, fair.
The two things that happened to B were fair.
There is a very reasonable thing to back up why one would be upset.
Annoyed about that. Yeah.
So I don't, again, I think there's definitely some grace that we should give B, considering all the stuff that she's going
Time out. All right, we really have to read the comment. We are getting the juiciest comments today.
Commenter, I just wanted all sides of the situation. I just wanted to add, she is dying. She is dying. How great would your own social skills be if you were told you had 12 months left on the planet? She is terrified. I would be terrified. She will not handle things well, and she will probably ruin more family events because she's literally facing our human collective's greatest fear. But how you guys handle her in her last year will stay with you until it's your own time. Be mindful of that, I guess, is what I'm trying to convey. She just wants to be seen, heard, and loved, and told she will be remembered. Grace will help everyone involved here, which literally we said we should give her some grace in this just before this. And then OP responds, those things have been constantly affirmed to her, to be fair. Now it's at the point where she's borderline abusive, and I just swore to God in front of all our beloved ones that I will protect my wife, and that includes from her sister. Yesterday she asked us to pick up her son from daycare for her today, but we were busy. Those plans were no more, so we offered to pick him up, and she absolutely flew off the rails at my wife, saying it's a privilege to babysit him, my nephew, in the first place. It's messed up. Yeah, I mean, she's going through it. Like
She is.
I think she's going through it, and
it doesn't mean that she's not being like an a-hole.
yes.
But like
there is some context, and
there is context.
That is a big thing to consider and understand when looking at and thinking through these situations.
Yeah.
I think
Here-
100%.
Another thing in the comments, we have confirmation of the diagnosis, but not the severity. She did get diagnosed. Some people think that she didn't. She just made it up.
Yes. Yeah.
There you go. That is the end of the story. It's not the end of the episode, but it's the end of me being on this
The end of
episode
John.
for the time being. Goodbye.
I asked my sister-in-law to cook a food she's allergic to, and my brother is furious.
You might be the a-hole.
Yeah, you just might.
Yeah, a little bit.
38 male, married with 3 kids. Recently, my mom turned 65 and begged to see her kids and grandchildren on her birthday. I have an older brother who's married with 4 kids, ages 2 to 12. Only the youngest 2 are his. And a much younger brother, 23, who's single. My wife and I offered to host a weekend get-together. By the way, this comes from Antisocial Apparently on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So my older brother had to work late the first night, but his wife Emily, fake name, offered to come earlier in the day with the kids and cook dinner for everyone. Emily is a great cook, and her parents own a local restaurant that's well known for a dish they serve only once a month. Emily is the chef for that dish, and my wife and I have had it, but my mom and brother haven't tried it. I asked Emily when she arrived that day if she would make the dish, and she agreed. I had most of what she needed, but I told her to text my younger brother for any extra items and I would pay for them. Dinner went great. Food was wonderful. But at some point, my mom took a picture of her plate and sent it to my older brother with a caption that said something like, "You're missing out." And then it all went to crap.
Oh, no.
Ah. The reason Emily only makes this dish once a month at the restaurant is because she's highly allergic to one of the main ingredients. Her parents are widely protective of the recipe and won't let anyone else cook it. I assumed this was common knowledge within my family, but she and my brother have only been together about 5 years, so maybe it hasn't come up. In any case, my brother was furious that I asked her to make it. My little brother said that I was disgusting, and my mom dramatically claimed that I put her in danger. Frankly, I think the reaction was ridiculous. She's a grown woman and clearly knows how to manage her allergies. It's not like she ate it. Also, Emily didn't seem upset about anything and was off watching a movie with all the kids, so she didn't hear any of this. I kind of thought it had blown over after a couple hours until my older brother got there around midnight and found Emily in the kitchen eating some cereal. He told me it was BS that I made her cook a meal she can't eat and then let her eat cereal. Again, this woman is a grown-up. She could have asked my little brother to get her something else to cook for herself, but she didn't. At that point, I was tired. My wife had cleaned the kitchen and Emily had gotten the kids in bed. So when my older brother pulled out a chicken saying he was going to cook something for Emily, I put my foot down and said no. I feel like my family babies Emily as it is. Lots of reason for this. I understand it, but it's frustrating. And I wasn't willing to let my brother make another mess cooking a whole other meal at 12 a.m.
Okay, well, now you are the a-hole.
Yeah, now I feel like...
Wait, okay, my understanding originally was that they were like at the restaurant and she was like cooking them a meal.
Yeah.
But it seems that they were at their, like a house.
Yeah, I think OP probably had the gathering at her house or something, and then, told Emily to get the ingredients.
Yeah.
Or to text the little brother to get the ingredients. And
Yeah.
then OP would pay for it. So, yeah, it sounds like they're at a house.
And so
doing this.
Emily hasn't eaten anything?
Except for cereal.
Wait, okay. At first I was like, oh, well, OP asked. Emily could have said no and then just like made 2 dishes or like had help
Right.
making 2 dishes. But now OP's like, no.
It's like
she
she
can't
even
eat at all.
Yeah. Yeah, what?
That's
I feel
weird.
Like this
OP,
is very weird.
Now you're back. We've
We're-
circled back around.
Yeah.
To the a-hole again.
We're reaching a-whore. Whoa.
A-whore. You're an a-whore.
The whole rest of the weekend was awkward and strained and basically ended with my mom and younger brother telling me that I ruined the whole get together. Do I not get to set boundaries in my own house? There are some relevant comments. So Rogue B says, wow, you're the a-hole. Why didn't you let her eat? The comment about everyone babying her makes me think that you may be telling only part of the story. And OP responds, I wasn't not letting her eat. She had some cereal.
That's ridiculous. She had cereal.
My family, especially my brother, got defensive and baby her for a lot of reasons, and some of them are good. Emily's family is tough on her, and she has trouble saying no to things. So that's kind of
so
seems
you
like that's-
capitalize that.
Yeah, it seems like what's
Capitalize
going
on
on
that.
here.
Yeah.
But she's an adult and she has to learn to do that Otherwise, things like this happen. Another deleted account says, I think my brain broke trying to work this out. Emily is an adult, right? She could have said, I'll happily make that dish, but I'll need something else to eat for myself. Or I don't want to spend the whole day cooking something that I can't eat. Did Emily ever say that she was upset about this? I feel like her opinion on this is the only thing that matters. Having said that, you say in your post that she didn't eat any of it. You didn't think that it was weird that she cooked all day and then sat not eating anything at a family dinner? Did nobody else notice this or think it was weird? This is the first Am I the A-hole post about food allergies I've read where the person cooked their own poison. OP responds, right, she could have said either of those things. She never seemed upset. No. She knows how much people like that dish. I do know that she's tried to stop making it at the restaurant, but it caused fights with her parents. Oh boy. I don't think making it for family is the same thing. Once she finished cooking, she served my mom and my wife and then went off to get her kids and mine settled with a movie. I think we just assumed she would eat later on. It just feels weird.
It just feels weird.
Yeah. Was OP aware of the sister-in-law's allergy? OP responds, I did know about the allergy. She's cooked it for my wife and I before. It was my mom and younger brother that weren't aware. I guess I just thought she would cook something for herself at the same time, or maybe eat what the kids had earlier in the night. She's not the kind of person to complain about things later. She's incredibly kind. I feel like it sounds like I don't like her, but I do. Bitter Nerdette says, wait, so she cooked for the kids, then cooked this, and you expected her to either eat with the kids or cook another separate meal? You really did F up. You treated her like a servant, then refused to let her get fed properly when someone else tried to rectify your mistake. You took advantage in the worst way and then blamed it on her because she has trouble saying no. Hosting 101. Look after your guests. Make sure that they have somewhere to sleep and are fed correctly. You failed big time on that alone. You wouldn't do that to someone you don't really know. Why the heck is it acceptable to your sister? And then you are commenting on here, blaming her for not sticking up for herself and saying no. It was your mistake not making sure she was fed. It was your fault for choosing a meal she couldn't eat. And it was your fault that she went to bed hungry because your precious kitchen was clean. You want a host? Be a host. Don't have a hissy fit because you dropped the ball. Don't have a hissy fit because your boundaries got broken whilst someone tried to fix your pickup. And stop taking advantage of people's kindness. Oh, this comment.
This person's reading.
Got some things to say. Mm-hmm. I saw your first post title, by the way. Stopping visitors to cook after midnight in my house is a wee bit different to this one. Almost as if you tried to make yourself look better. It didn't work. Oh, and reading your other comments, you even know she's trying to stop cooking that dish and has issues with her parents about it. Come on. Family shouldn't make her cook something she doesn't want to cook. If it's that serious, she's fighting about it. Wow. That's a big comment. And honestly, facts.
Agreed. No, I was gonna, because the beginning of this post, it's like, oh, she cooks this at the restaurant.
Yeah.
She's probably fine with it. OP was like, oh, can you do this for my mom's birthday? And I was like, oh, okay. And then we go into one, she's trying to stop cooking the dish.
Yeah.
2, you wouldn't let her eat. It's like, it would have been, I think it would have been a mistake, but perhaps a rectifiable mistake if OP had been like, oh yeah, can you make this for me? And then after was like, oh my God, I thought she would have made something else or had or eaten with the kids or something. And then when the brother's trying to make the chicken, she was like, oh my God, I didn't even think, that's my bad.
Yeah.
But she went further and was like, no, you can't have the chicken either.
Right. That's so ridiculous.
Yeah. So you're the a-hole, OP.
Absolutely.
And you doubled down on it.
Yeah. But OP responds to that comment. Okay, I get what you're saying, and maybe I'm being defensive and doubling down. There you go. I don't want her to feel like a servant. I do think she's a good person. She's wonderful to my brother. I just didn't get why she didn't just eat something else, but I guess I could have acknowledged it or offered her something. Someone else pointed out in another comment too that she was helping with my kids and hers, so she may have been too busy to make anything else. On what the special dish was, gal pal Nikki says, OP made a comment that the allergy is peanuts, so I'm thinking pad thai. OP says it's similar, but it's a unique dish. I've never had anything like it anywhere else. The restaurant is upscale, gourmet, international food. It's very expensive, and I was trying to treat my mom to the dish they're locally renowned for. In retrospect, this was stupid. And this gem of a comment, OP says, I feel like this is a terrible time to mention that she doesn't get paid at the restaurant.
What?
Yeah, you shouldn't have said that.
What? She doesn't get paid at the restaurant to make a food that she's deathly allergic to and is trying to stop making. Why does she work at this restaurant?
Well, I guess it's like a family restaurant, I think.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but still. OP continues, I get it. I'm a wiener and was really in the wrong here. I'm going to apologize.
Whoa.
Okay,
OP
that's
realized.
good. That's good. January's daughter says she doesn't get paid for handling poison all day. What is wrong with her family? And the verdict is that the OP is an a-hole. But there is an update. And an update. I can see that I'm definitely the a-hole. I showed my wife this post and the replies this morning. She hasn't commented much on the situation and said today that it was because she was so embarrassed by my behavior that she didn't know what to say. But she agreed with almost everyone. I called Emily this morning and my brother answered her phone. I talked to him for about an hour and then was able to apologize to Emily. She explained that she said yes to cooking because she knew how much I like the dish, and also she doesn't think I like her that much, so she was worried I would be upset if she said no.
Oh.
My brother also explained that her allergy has topical effects as well, and the cooking process gets the allergen everywhere, which is why she hates cooking it so much, and also why she can't make it and why she can't make anything else for herself at the same time. Please note that I know I was in the a-hole even without this info. It just makes it worse. It also makes me look at the situation with her parents differently because they've been having her make this meal for years and downplaying the skin reactions like it's not a big deal. I work in a really cutthroat, callous environment. It's not an excuse to be thoughtless with my family, but I do think it has some clear effects in my general attitude towards other people. I do like Emily. She improved my brother's life profoundly when they got together, which is part of why my family loves her like they do. And by the way, you can improve our lives by listening to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime.
Search it up. Woohoo.
And there is another relevant update. Do we have any little thoughts before we go into it?
Man, oh man. This poor girl. I mean, she's working at her family's restaurant for free. Making food that she's allergic to.
Yeah. And then her skin reactions.
Yeah. And then her in-laws are like, we also want you to make this, even though you're allergic to it.
Right.
So literally no one is standing up for this poor girl except for her husband. And then her husband is getting flack for it from OP. But OP realized that he was wrong.
That's good. That's what
all you
we
can
need.
ask for.
Emily was more gracious accepting my apology than I deserve, but she did also tell me that she won't be accepting invites to my house again for a while, which I think is fair. Oh wow. So she was upset about this. I was mad at first reading a lot of the comments, but I needed the reality check. Thanks. There are some more relevant comments. Then OP says again, I accepted that I'm the a-hole here and agreed that if I really wanted her to make this dish, I should have offered to make her something separately. There are a lot of comments about my brother and my mom that aren't sitting well with me, but there are things that were left out, so that's understandable. Just want to clarify that my younger brother and my mom both helped in the kitchen and with the kids. They also spent a lot of time hanging out with Emily while she cooked, and Zenissa Banana says that doesn't make this better. Having people hang out with you while trying not to have an allergic reaction does not improve things. You still don't get it. You shouldn't have asked her to make it in the first place, you doorknob. You're the a-hole. I think OP gets it.
I think I disagree with that comment. I do think OP is
yeah. I think OP is just giving more detail.
Yeah.
Maybe to save slack from or to give slack to the brother and the mom.
Yeah, I think that's all. But I think OP gets it.
I think OP gets it. All you can do is apologize and move forward. So
we're going to move forward to the next story.
There you go.
So we will see you next time.
All right.
My future sister-in-law excluded me from her wedding and my brother let it happen. I said my brother. This is a long one. I should start all the way back at the beginning. Around a year ago, my 30 female younger brother, 27 male, let's call him Bill, proposed to his girlfriend, 26 female, we'll call her Lori, and they got engaged. He's not a very open person, so we didn't really see it coming or know he was planning to do that. My now husband, 31 male, and I had been discussing getting married, and it was well known among our families that we would be getting engaged soon. We had just had a baby a few months prior, so we wanted to do it sooner than later. Both my husband and I had been talking to my sister, 28 female, we'll call her Sarah, to plan a proposal. Neither one of us realized the other was making plans to propose. Ooh. By the way, this comes from Guilty Hospital 6597 on the r/OK Stories Time subreddit. So, my plan was to propose over spring break while we were visiting my husband's family and friends out of state. And his plan was for summertime. So, I beat him to the punch. Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought you were talking about your sibling. So, you and your partner both plan to propose at the same time. That's super cute.
That is cute.
I don't know. Is it because you're taking attention from the other?
I think, yeah.
Whoever does it first, it's like, cool. And then second, could you imagine like, all right, it's like that fun game of like, oh,
I love that.
You love that?
Yeah.
You love what?
I think not for gender stereotype reasons. I do need to be proposed to. Just because I just would.
Your mom would be pissed.
No, I just would think that they don't love. Like I would always be guessing.
You've seen those things where like people propose to each other.
I need them to like ensure that they, you know.
Okay.
But what if you don't? Yeah. What if you don't do it? Maybe they're, you know.
No, they'll be fine. I'm always invested. It's not me. We ended up engaged 2 months after my brother Bill and his fiance Lori. This really upset her, and she made it very well known.
This upset Lori.
Yeah, of course. Well, then my husband's father passed away suddenly, and it was decided that we needed to move back to his home state to help his mother. We wanted to get married prior to moving. We decided to do a very small ceremony. No guests. Just got married down by the river.
Sweet.
That's
River
really
in nature.
That's
adorable.
Really
I love
I
it.
love that. We planned a family vacation out of state to see some of my family the weekend after the wedding. I ended up inviting my siblings and their families to also join us, as well as our mother, who lives out of state. I planned to do a reception during the vacation since we didn't really do a wedding. This caused another issue with Lori.
Ugh.
She
Lori.
complained to my sister Sarah, and my mother that she was worried that the vacation would be all about me and the fact that I just got married and not her and her engagement. Long story short, I decided not to do the reception to avoid any drama or hurt feelings. Of course, there was other drama throughout the vacation started up by her, but I won't get into it all. I thought you were just you breathed.
Yeah, I was just comprehending.
Gotcha.
Verbally.
After this vacation, we were planning to move cross country. I owned my house and decided that I would give. No, I did not sell it. To Bill.
What? You're gonna give your home?
Give your house to Bill.
What a love.
I want that. Can we have that?
Yeah, can I be brothers with you?
Given a house. As he was living with our father, and I thought it would be nice to give him a house to start his new family in. The house had flaws and needed a lot of work, but he's very handy, and it wasn't anything he couldn't handle
That's
himself.
so kind.
I allowed him to begin renovations on parts of the house a couple of months prior to us moving. When it came closer to time to move, there were even more issues. Lori was talking to my siblings, complaining that they didn't have the deed yet and worried I wouldn't do it before I moved. Now, I had told them several times I would not be able to get it until I had quit my job. I had given my notice and would quit a few weeks prior to the move. I didn't do the deed before this as I would have to take time off work to do it. I just told Bill this again when he asked about it, but Lori continued complaining to anyone who would listen, saying I was trying to screw them out of a house.
Girl, you were voluntarily given.
Shut your mouth. You were given a house. Stop complaining. Oh my goodness. You didn't have to have that house at all.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
Yeah, if she's not going to be
I won't complain.
Happy about it. I really didn't understand this or how she could think that. If I didn't want to give my brother the house, I wouldn't have. Yeah. Anyways, of course I got the deed transferred once I was done working and handed it over to Bill as promised. We were planning to do the move in 2 trips. First trip, 1 week, fly back the next week and make the second trip. I allowed them access to the whole house except for my bedrooms after the first trip. I stored electronics in my bedroom as well as still had my bed set up so I could sleep after my flight back and before I made the next drive. Lori threw an absolute fit about not being able to go into my room before I was fully moved. She insisted this wouldn't work for her and that I was hurting her son, 6 male. She wanted to paint it for her son to use and didn't want to wait. She said that if they waited, he wouldn't have time to get settled better before school started. We moved at the end of July. School starts end of August. Again, they have a house right now. They're living in a place right now. You are being given a house. You don't get to decide when you get to take over the house.
Or complain
or
be upset at it.
I'm sorry.
Can. It's just a terrible freaking look.
If you were renting out a house or even buying a house, you can't just say to the people who are living there, you can't just be like, actually, we want you to move a couple months before. Because they would say, no, the lease starts at this time. Yeah. So you have to wait. And that's what's happening here, except you're being given a house. for free. I explained that it was just one room and she would have to wait as I couldn't leave all the electronics in my car for a week while I was out of state and that I still needed my bed. She wanted to move things out and back in and I said no. I explained that while I don't think she would break anything, I did not want to risk an accident happening and everyone being put in a bad spot / awkward situation. This was still not okay with her. She was running to my sister and my mother complaining and it caused a big argument in my family.
Are people agreeing with her?
I don't know.
Are people like,
they better not
yeah,
be.
give him the house earlier.
Yeah, this is crazy. She went as far as to tell my mother that it's not like she did something big. She didn't give us a bunch of money or anything. The house needs work.
So much lack of gratitude.
Yeah.
And
she's just so like entitled.
Thankfulness, and there's a ton of entitlement and projecting that on everyone and just making it everyone's problem. I'm wondering if like OP is talking to her brother.
I hope so. Yeah, you need to be like, hey, your wife is being really ungrateful.
I'm giving you this house.
Do you guys not want it?
What's up with your wife here?
Yeah. Agreed.
What's going on?
What's going on here? She also made similar comments to my sister, insinuating that it was no big deal and everyone needed to stop acting like I did something great by giving them the house.
Who said that? Who?
The sister.
The sister.
Sorry, the sister-in-law.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Bill's wife.
The one that's been
complaining. My husband and I talked with Bill and worked everything out with him so everyone was happy. Well, I wasn't exactly happy after it all since there was no appreciation and this woman was not the last bit grateful that they were given a house. She even went out on to publicly thank everyone who helped them with moving and renovations, all while never mentioning the people who gave them the house.
That is...
I would be like, you're not getting the house. You're not getting
You would take it back?
I probably wouldn't because I would feel bad, but I would be...
Yes, tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, tell us. I'm the sister-in-law.
I would be like, how freaking dare you? Who do you think you are? That's what I would be like.
Well, I need a house quicker because of the room and my children.
Yeah, my children, my son. I don't care about your spawn.
Oh, demon
Don't
severe.
get me wrong.
I was just gonna say I would talk to the brother and be like,
Yeah,
what the actual F is going on?
Yeah, what's
Do
wrong
you
with
see
your wife?
the ridiculousness of this?
It's ridiculous.
And if he's like, no, then I'd be like,
Then you don't go to my house.
I mean, I would be like, I'm not sure if I want to go through this with this anymore. If you're not understanding, like,
what the problem
why I'm
here
upset
is.
with any of this.
Don't get me wrong. I didn't do it for the attention or wanting a big thank you, but it did hurt that she was not at all appreciative or grateful. It hurt that she was willing to say so many bad things about me when I only tried to help them and do something nice for them. Well, we moved and all was well. In September, I flew back to my home state for a family reunion. During this time, I found out that Lori had concerns about me being able to still be a bridesmaid in her wedding with me living so far away. I heard this through my sister Sarah. I reached out and discussed things with Lori and assured her it would be okay and that I could fly up early for the wedding to be a part of everything. She wasn't going dress shopping or any other things leading up to the wedding, so I only needed to come a week early for a bachelorette party and a walkthrough. All seemed good when I headed back home. Then a month or two later, Lori messaged me asking if I was still going to be in the wedding. I told her I would, and that was that. Then
So passive aggressive.
Yeah, are you gonna still be in the wedding?
Still being in my wedding?
Then another month later, she asked again and said she was stressed. Opie's like, she's like, I just don't know whether you're gonna be in my wedding or not. Opie's like,
I'm going.
yeah, gotta be there.
I'm going.
I told her if it would be less stressful for her to not have me in the wedding, that's fine. No hurt feelings. Well, she decided I wouldn't be in the wedding.
Dang.
Now, at some point prior to us moving, while hanging out with my siblings and their spouses, we were talking about wedding stuff. Us girls got talking about dresses, and I mentioned that if things go as I hope they will, then I'll be pregnant at the time of the wedding.
Ooh.
Okay.
So Lori's not gonna like that.
She's like, if things are going as I hope. That's a lot of information, girl.
What?
Just that she's trying to get pregnant.
Oh, but yeah, I see you. Lori's not gonna like it. She goes, how dare you
be
get pregnant just so that you could ruin my wedding?
Trying to ruin it. I commented that if it goes as planned, I shouldn't be too big by then, though, so it might not matter much on sizing. Well, this really upset Lori. I guess her and Bill were trying for a baby and it wasn't going well. She responded to me saying, well, it must be nice to be able to plan it.
Just like the other stories.
Yeah. She went outside and after a few minutes, I followed and apologized. I had struggled
for what?
to get...
Apologize for what?
I don't know. For for, I don't know. I had struggled to get pregnant in the past and honestly thought I couldn't have any more kids, so I had some insight into how she was feeling. We talked and hugged and all seemed well. Whoa, y'all had a conversation? So that brings me back to where I was. A few months ago, I found out I was pregnant and things had gone just as planned. Lori was the only one not to congratulate us or acknowledge it whatsoever, which wasn't much of a surprise, and I didn't talk to her directly about it, just posted on social media. The wedding is in a month now, and I'll be halfway through my pregnancy at the time of the wedding. I was talking to Lori today and was having a hard time remembering something she was asking about, so I made an offhand comment about must be pregnancy brain. She didn't say anything to me about it, and our conversation continued as it should.
She's not.
She's like, how dare you bring up your pregnancy? You're rubbing it in my face. Well, I guess she texted Sarah complaining that I brought up my pregnancy out of nowhere. And how she just can't handle
the fact
me.
that you're having a biological situation that is changing your whole life and how your whole body, and you brought that up. How irrelevant. How dare you bring something like that up.
And how she just can't handle me going on and on about it, and she's already sick of hearing about it. Now, this is the first time that I have said anything about my pregnancy or being pregnant directly to her. I've also only made 3 social media posts about it so far. Nothing very overboard at all. And when I was talking to her, it was just the one comment. Then we started talking about her wedding more. Lori asked if I would be seeing my mom before the wedding. My mom lives in another state far from any of us. Lori said that she was worried about her wedding turning into a family reunion and was hoping I could see my mother ahead of time.
What?
Weddings are like half family reunions, honestly. That's like I feel like that's a kind of a normal thing.
It seems like the frame that she's like viewing reality is like
all about me.
If any situation happens, how does it affect me?
Yeah.
And if I don't like that, then it's that person's problem and they're doing it on purpose in order to affect me.
Exactly. And was hoping I could see my mother ahead of time. I told her I thought my mom might be coming over to where I was staying early so we could get ready for the wedding together. She went on to ask if I was staying with my other brother, 25 male, we'll call him Earl, who lives alone in a 4-bedroom house. I said, yes, that's the plan. It's well known and has been discussed that I will stay with him whenever I come back since he has so much space and nobody else does. Well, I guess she had been planning for the girls to get ready for the wedding at Earl's house, which according to her was no longer going to work if I was staying there. I didn't really see the issue, but it's her wedding and I didn't want to cause problems. I offered to leave the house for the day so that I didn't ruin their plans. I mentioned that I could go to my dad's house, which was just a couple miles up the road, and that it wouldn't be a big deal. She insisted that I not do that and that she could get ready at her sister's house. Well, then Sarah was messaging me saying that Lori and her family are getting ready together, but that Sarah was being left out. Sarah was supposed to be doing Lori's hair, so this didn't exactly make sense. The plan got sorted and the bride would do makeup at her sister's, then come to Earl's house so Sarah could do her hair and she could put her dress on. The house is very close to the venue. Sarah would be getting ready with myself and our mother. This way we get all our talking out before the wedding, so it didn't turn into a family reunion. Sarah told me Lori had said this. This, along with some other things, has my sister, my mother, and myself feeling very unwanted at the wedding. We have definitely made a few jokes about things we could do to get even, though none of us are serious, nor would we cause any issues at the wedding.
What if
we cause a little bit of
the house
trouble
back mid-wedding? What? I'm not saying.
What would she do? What would she do?
What would Lori do? I'd like to see it.
I feel like I'm at a major loss here. It doesn't seem like anything I do is right. If I don't go to the wedding, I will definitely be the bad guy. Plus, I really want to be there for my brother. I also already bought plane tickets, so I'm definitely making the flight back. Lori has made it clear, at least from my point of view, that she doesn't want me at her wedding. It seems to me that she's very worried I will just draw attention away from her between me living so far away and me being pregnant. Honestly, I think she's also worried about my mother since she also lives far from everyone. Nobody has seen my mother since the family vacation last summer. I guess at the end of it all, I know what I will do. I will show up to the wedding and I will try to be as quiet and distant from everyone as possible to not cause further issues.
Question.
Answer.
It's a rhetorical question. Why?
Okay.
Why is OP being so accommodating?
Yeah.
Of Lori. It's
OP is a doormat
because a lot of people pleasing tendencies. But this is going to continue. Lori will continue being Lori. She will be in the family ongoing.
Yeah.
You will continue to see her. She will continue to make things about her. You will continue to try to accommodate her, which will be an impossible task. Or you could ask yourself, like, what am I willing to shift and what am I not?
Yeah.
And I'm just going to act as I'm going to act with, some basic consideration. And if Lori has a big reaction, that's on Lori.
That's on Lori. I agree. I think it's just like putting your line in the sand and being like, okay, these are my boundaries, and she doesn't get to walk around all over them.
What are the boundaries?
I don't know. That's up for OP to decide.
Give me the house.
I can't put those boundaries on OP.
Give me the house. We'll call it even.
Yeah. I'll never bring up my baby if you give me back my house. I will spend time with my family members prior to the wedding as well as the day after, so I'm not taking up any of Lori's time during her special day. Again, weddings are family reunions. They are. Understandably, they're about the people getting married, but like to a certain extent, it is about seeing people that you haven't seen in a while. Yeah, like that usually is the time when the extended family all get together, because that's like it's an important ceremony.
Yeah.
So it is a family reunion,
and it still is
regardless.
About the bride.
Yes. No, regardless of what you do, other people are going to be treating it like a family reunion, and if you don't, you're just one person not doing that. So Lori's just gonna have to. Hopefully the wedding goes smoothly and she receives all the attention she desires. At this point, I think I know no matter what I do, she'll never like me. Yeah. And quite honestly, the feeling is mutual. As always, I play nice for family occasions. What? And such. I'll do my best not to stir the pot. I love my brother dearly, and I'm glad he has found someone who makes him happy.
Stir the
pot. Hey, sorry this was so long. I did leave a lot out while trying to include anything relevant. This has been a year-long ordeal, so it isn't the easiest to get everything in the right order and tell it in the least confusing way possible. Hopefully, I have enough information for you to get a clear view of what is going on. I would love to hear everyone's input and how they would handle the situation. I by no means think I'm perfect and am fully aware that I made mistakes throughout all of this, and there is a little update to finish the story off. But do you have any final thoughts?
Just that I hope, OP, that you could get over the fear of upsetting people, because it will become an impossible task to not upset this human that you will have to abandon and contort yourself in endless ways to be able to do it, and you will still not be able to do it.
Yep. And just because she is your brother's... Wait, okay, you know what? I'm going to be honest. I was a little bit confused. Who's getting married? The brother
and Lori.
Who's Sarah?
Sister of OP.
Okay. And who got the house? Lori and the brother?
Yeah.
Updates. Sorry, I'm a little late going to the update. Flying made my morning sickness much worse, and it took me a bit to get balanced back out of after getting home. Prior to my flying back home for the wedding, I heard about a lot more drama, but all small things. Most drama revolved around a major lack of planning and nobody really knowing what was going on. That being said, the wedding went on without complications. The guys got everything set up that morning, and my mother put the arch together. My mother, my sister, and her 4 kids got ready with me, along with some others. When the bride showed up an hour prior to the wedding, I took the kids, 7 total, to the venue to get them out of everyone's way. It was very cold out, so we ended up waiting in the vehicle while we waited for everyone to be ready. Some of the older kids went out to play and sit with other relatives, while I kept the youngest ones where they could stay warm. I add that part because I actually missed the whole ceremony. It only lasted maybe 15 minutes. Bride was supposed to message my mother when they were heading to the venue so everyone could take their seats. No message ever came. Wait, I'm sorry. You guys were all like waiting in the car because it was cold and no one texted you? That's crazy.
In her defense, it's her wedding day. Maybe she forgot.
Sure, but like, why did no one else... No one else was like, hey, where did they go? My mother checked on me right after the ceremony, not realizing I didn't know it had started. Well, she wasn't there. My bad, I guess. That's so funny. But you know what would be your bad? If you didn't listen to more stories on episodes just like this, just go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime. And there is a little bit left to the story.
Hit it.
We did pictures and then met at the indoor location for the reception. The reception was very hectic and unorganized. Kids running around everywhere and controlling the dance floor.
Oh,
they're just trying to have fun. It was really great seeing all the family again and catching up with everyone, though. It's not a family reunion, OP.
It's not.
You shouldn't be catching up with anyone.
We're just seeing each other, but we're not talking.
We're not talking.
Yeah.
The bride and groom both seem very happy, so in the end... all is well, I guess. And that is the end of that story. There you have it. Yeah. Just live your life and don't let other people pull you down. My sister-in-law and her fiance keep causing trouble, but my mother-in-law lets them get away with it.
What the heck, Mom?
Stop letting them get away with it.
What the heck?
I, 22 female, and my boyfriend, 24 male, have been living with his parents for the last 3 years due to the market being absolute crap. We have a reactive dog and a risky breed, so in order for us to move out, we have to get a house and don't have the option for an apartment. By the way, this comes from No Seesaw 1507 on the OK Storytime subreddit. So for a while, my boyfriend's sister, 27 female, and her fiance, 30 male, were living with all of us as well, along with their daughter, 3 female. At first, things were going okay with everyone living with us, but then little fights would occur. One day, I'd assume I was alone in the house and even checked upstairs and downstairs and saw no one. I was told earlier by the sister that they'd be leaving at noon. So I went and blasted music in the bathroom and began my shower when I heard banging and screaming at the locked door. I paused my music and got out of the middle of my shower to hear the sister yelling at me to turn the effing music down. I shouted through the door, "Sorry," and I thought you guys already left, when she responded back, "Come out here," while she was still hitting the door. I told her she needed to calm down and I wasn't going to come out in a towel with her acting like that. Within the last 2 years, things escalated. So when I was 21, I moved back in with my dad. They still were accusing me of things like putting laxatives in their tea when I wasn't even there. Turned out to be mold.
That's insane.
Eventually, I moved back in, and this is where things got worse. One day, after taking a shower in our shared bathroom, I got out and saw "F-U" written on our side of the bathroom. They were known to write things on the mirror. I showed my boyfriend's dad and said that I didn't want to start anything, but we all need to have a discussion about boundaries. When the dad brought this up, the fiance got disrespectful with the dad, and the dad said, "If you think you can talk to me like that, then get the F out." So they did. Now, after that, things chilled out a little bit. Words were exchanged between my boyfriend and the fiance, but we tried not to feed into any of it. After that, we haven't seen them for a month or so. But after that, they needed money and asked to do yard work, and the mom told them yes and told the dad that she wouldn't leave them alone in the house. After I got home from work, I jumped in the shower. I was tired after a 16-hour shift and didn't know they had been there, so I just went on my normal routine until I started shampooing my hair. I smelled a minty smell when I lathered it out, and my scalp was burning. I started to freak out and washed the rest of it out and jumped out of the shower. Turns out when they were here, the mom left them alone in the house and they put liquid Vicks, found an empty container that my boyfriend and I had never opened, all in our shampoo, conditioner, body wash, Summer's Eve wash, Summer's Eve's wipes and lotions. Oh my God.
It's like
crazy.
The laxatives in the food.
Yeah.
Now they're like putting.
But now they're actually doing what they were kind of accusing OP
that's
of doing.
wild. I mean, the good thing is it's not like
It's
gonna
not- yeah,
kill
it's not
you. I was like,
toxic,
okay, you know, but
And
like
it's not
what
like an air.
what a bad prank to play on someone.
So bad. I never said anything to them about it, but me and my boyfriend made it clear to the parents what happened and that we were not happy. The parents offered to replace our stuff, but we declined. The dad didn't want anything to do with them anymore, but then the mom continued to invite them over and be buddy-buddy with them even after everything. I get that's her daughter, but at the same time, she always tries to protect them. So am I the a-hole? And there is an update. I mean, obviously you're not the a-hole here.
No.
I do think you should maybe leave that house because it seems like you're not necessarily that safe.
Because also I feel like, you know, the mom's loyalties are going to lie with her own
her daughter.
kids. So it's like, I don't know how much OP can like control what the family does, but I don't think they're the a-hole.
No.
Yeah.
I think it's just like if you can move back with your dad or find another place that you can stay.
Yeah, that'd be
obviously
ideal.
financially it seems like that's pretty tricky for you guys, but yeah.
Get out.
Unfortunately, like there's not like a conversation that you could really have that would change their mind because it is their house and that is their daughter.
Right.
A ton of people were saying that I should update this since it sounds like I'm just a freeloader complaining that it's the mom's house and the dad is just trying to make peace of that. I should get rid of my reactive dog and get an apartment. So to clarify, my boyfriend and I pay rent about as much as it would cost for us to own an apartment in our area. This allows us to save very slowly since we also have student loans. We are are paying off, and etc. The incidents that have occurred have really strained the mom and dad's relationship. The son, or my boyfriend, is the dad's real only biological son. He is beyond pissed at the daughter and fiance. He doesn't want them in the house at all and doesn't want the mom paying for them because of how they've treated me and my boyfriend and him. This being said, the mom keeps lying and going behind all of our backs. Yikes. I still have a good relationship with the mom. I would never tell her what she can and can't do or demand her to do things. This being said, I have made it clear that I am very uncomfortable with them being over unsupervised. Also, getting rid of my dog is not an option. He is a very good dog. He's been through training. However, since he was attacked when he was a puppy, he's just an inside dog. We do train him, which he is one of the smartest dogs I've ever had, and he's good with the people he knows. He's just super anxious and barks when he hears something he doesn't know, making us worry if we were to get an apartment, we wouldn't be able to take him on walks, or that he would constantly bark at the noises outside and cause a noise complaint. That's like Ava. She, like, whenever she meets new people, she barks at them.
Yeah, my dog's like that at home too.
Like, she's like,
every time someone's at the door, including us,
yes,
they bark.
Yeah, she's like, "Arr!" I'm like, Ava.
But they won't do anything.
Yeah, and she's super smart. Like, she's never bitten anyone ever.
Yeah.
But like, she's just barks.
Yeah.
And then she meets a new person, she barks.
We feel your reactive dog.
Yeah. It's hard. By the way, we also feel like you should join us live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Just tap our profile. And there is a little bit left, but you can talk to the parents as much as you want, and they can say that they, you know, are going to look out for you, but you can't force them to not let their daughter come into the house.
Yeah. If they need to go separate themselves and go to get their own place, then, you know, kind of, you got to figure out what you need to do, because I think the mom's not going to kick away her daughter.
No.
Yeah.
And lastly, I know all of the incidents have been in the bathroom. These were just the biggest incidents that have happened. There have been more like the T or them when they lived here and did not pay rent for years, would do little petty things to both me and my boyfriend. They would constantly make the bathroom we shared a pigsty and would blame things that they did on us, would bang on walls to keep us up at night, etc. They were freeloaders, and to clarify, they are now living with the daughter's real dad rent-free. Please let me know if you all have any other questions. I'm trying my best to add all the details, but I always think I'm typing too much. My question, I guess, is OP said that they're paying rent, and it's about the same as it would be in that area. So I'm thinking, like,
why not?
What are you saving?
Well, I think they said they need a house for the dog, so maybe it's like,
right, they did just say,
right, like they're paying apartment price, but they're in a house.
Yes,
so
because they were worried about the dog, like barking.
Maybe get a dog-friendly apartment.
Yeah, honestly, I think that you would probably be okay, depending on like what type of apartment.
Yeah,
you know, as long as it doesn't have super thin walls.
Yeah, it might be time to fly the nest.
Yeah. My sister ruined my honeymoon, so I asked for a proper apology.
As you should.
You deserve one. Hi, sorry if this is too long. My life is spiraling.
Oh no.
And as a longtime viewer, I would really like all of your takes. Throwaway account, as my family uses media. Fake names used. If you don't like long reads, sorry, I shortened this from 7,000 words. By the way, this comes from Family Drama Center on the OK Storytime subreddit. So, my full family involved. I, 37 male, husband, 36 male, sister Amber, 45 female, her partner Tim, 47 male, brother, 42 male, mom, 66 female, Cassie, special needs, 67 female, semi-verbal. Important information. My mom, sister, and I are in the care field. My mom is a retired care worker for over 25 years. My sister, 2 years in care field, and I, 11 years in care field. At any time, Cassie has to be with either my mom, sister, or I, as she is not independent. This was my mom, sister, and Cassie's third cruise. This was everyone else's first cruise. My husband and I were married this year, 2024, on our 11th year. My mom has been talking for years about having her immediate family on one big family cruise on her retirement year. This year, she retired. She informed my husband and I that she would pay for our portion as well as a balcony suite as a honeymoon present. She told us that though this is a family cruise, we are to treat it like a honeymoon and relax, enjoy, and not to stress. Also to have lots of time to ourselves. We were both worried as it was a lot of money. Plus, mixing a honeymoon with a family cruise seemed daunting. We weren't sure how to juggle everything, but my mom told us not to worry. We convinced her to allow us to pay for any extra expenses like drinks, items bought on and off cruise. She agreed. We both thanked her profusely and showed how grateful we were throughout the trip. Unfortunately, our honeymoon/family cruise ended up being an emotional disaster. That sucks. Though my husband and I at times we were happy and did our best to overcome the overwhelming stress, there were a lot of bullying and temper tantrums from my sister that were unnecessary and uncalled for, directed towards me mostly, and sometimes at everyone else. Though my sister has always been high-strung and over-opinionated about most situations, she has also been one of my husband's and I's biggest supporters, which we value highly. Just by being gay, my husband lost his entire family for his choice. So any love and support is something we value highly. I don't want you to get the wrong idea. We love my sister, but her treatment towards us was not okay. Before the cruise, my siblings, husband, and Tim met up. The cruise topic came up and we all agreed that giving our mom one day to herself to enjoy the cruise without having to take care of Cassie would be a nice thank you to her. My mom was also paying for most of my sister's and Tim's expenses and all brothers' expenses as well. This was her choice. We talked about how either Amber and Tim or husband and me would take Cassie for the first half of the day and then we would switch. Since both my sister and I are in the care field, it only made sense to not have us together. It was a discussion, not a set in stone plan. However, on the cruise, it quickly became clear that my brother and Tim got a free pass not to look after Cassie, and the one day of taking Cassie turned into 4 days of care, lasting between 3 to 5 hours on our downtime each time. This was never agreed upon, never discussed, never brought up to me or my husband. The 3 occasions that Cassie was put in my care were out of nowhere, though I accepted all 3 times as to not cause a scene, and of course I wanted my mom to relax. All 3 times my sister and mom would go to the spa to spend time together. This is weird.
Yeah.
This is weird because it was supposed to be one day that OP was taking care of Cassie, it seems like, and the rest was supposed to be like OP and OP's husband off like honeymooning.
Right. And then even like when they were taking care of it was supposed to be like half and half.
Yeah.
Like, but I know he said it wasn't like set in stone plan, but still it's like,
yeah,
I feel like they maybe should have some consideration for, you know, their free time and stuff on the cruise.
I think especially because the mom brought it up and it seems like she's not even considering what she said either.
Yeah, she's like, let's go on a family cruise, but like, just because I want to relax.
Yeah.
You guys can do whatever.
The 4th time my husband and I looked after Cassie, just us, so my mom could enjoy around 4 hours by herself alone because she needed a break. This time it was our choice as she looked so stressed. She enjoyed the solo time alone. I love Cassie. She's family, but she's also work. She needs a lot of help to do most things. My husband did his best to help out, but I was the primary care. I was happy Cassie was happy, but the 3 times I was given the task was by Amber, not by mom. Each time my husband and I had to cancel our plans together. There were one-time events and couple activities on the cruise we wanted to experience and weren't given a choice. It was our turn to take her, and we did. No matter what I did, I always managed to do something wrong, no matter how hard I tried to follow Amber's instructions. I always missed something. She never stopped reminding me how lucky it was that mom was spending so much money on my husband and I, how grateful we should be. Each time we went to buy a special drink, she would remind us it cost extra money. Each time we discussed buying pictures or merchandise, she reminded us not to abuse our mom's kindness. One day, she would encourage talking to our mom about purchasing something. The next day, telling me I'm being selfish and not thinking about mom, when all I did was retell what she said to me the previous day. On many occasions during dinner in the crowded dining hall, she would either slow her speech to talk to me like a child or try and teach me how to do things properly so I don't screw up next time. There was even a time that she handed me a signature photo album book for our waitstaff to sign for Cassie. I was very overwhelmed and had an anxiety attack and kind of blanked. Amber was yelling instructions at me where she could have easily done what she wanted herself. Then after, continued to berate me in front of over 40 people. I was utterly humiliated. She said she couldn't fathom how I couldn't understand the simplest of instructions. I have never in all my life been so torn down by her. She treated me so poorly. I was up most nights, sick. I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong.
Aww.
I wanted to enjoy myself, but felt like I was in a nightmare. My husband was furious. I asked my mom if she knew what was going on. She said yes, but wouldn't tell us. What? I
But
said,
why?
Why? Tell us. Yeah. I said I'd go talk to Amber. My mom begged me not to, that Amber would come tell me what was going on her own. Well, she never did. With each passing day, she got more and more unbearable to be around. She got meaner and meaner, even publicly accusing me of forcing our mom to do our laundry when I was just asking how the machine worked. Out of the 7-day cruise, my husband and I only got 8 hours together alone to enjoy our honeymoon. Everything else was either spent with someone with the family, mostly catering to Cassie or Amber, going on group excursions, which most of them were fun, and wandering the ship with family again. I love my family, but I will never, ever travel with my sister again. I've never, ever treated her the way she treated me. I honestly felt like she hated me. After the cruise, I sent her a letter explaining how hurt I was, how I felt like her own personal gopher and punching bag, how I felt so disrespected and used. She in turn wrote me a novel explaining her finances, my mother's finances, and listing the many reasons why she was acting the way she was acting to try and excuse her behavior towards me. She then wrote an apology, or at least my mom, who read the letter, said it was a good apology and to drop the situation and move on. This is a copy paste from her apology. I'm not trying to pretend I'm some saint here. I should have realized how frustrated I was getting and asked you guys why you were making things so hard. And instead I assumed that you were being difficult for no reason and let my frustration build until my fuse turned into a switch. I lost my cool a lot, and I know how I get when that happens. It's not nice at all, and I'm genuinely sorry for that. Then, directly followed by this, in hindsight, I also should have been a lot more explicit that the whole spa thing was about mom getting a break, not me wanting to monopolize her time instead of assuming you would realize that on your own. And I could have made up a little calendar or something so we could all get on the same page about when it would happen, assuming you were willing, rather than hoping you'd be able to figure it out without me having to pester you every day.
Oh my gosh.
If nothing else, that would have given the two of you a chance to let me know that this never was a family cruise to you, and that there was no way you were going to give up an hour of your honeymoon every day, even as a thank you to mom for paying for the whole thing. And then I could have figured out a plan B that wouldn't have required a single thing from either of you. That's not an apology.
Yeah.
That was a really bad apology.
It was like, the apology was like at first, and then it could have stopped there.
Yeah,
but then she
like,
decided to have
yeah.
like a backhanded.
Yeah,
like,
she was like, I can't believe like you would take advantage of mom, and I should have known that you were too stupid to get anything. Like, that's not an apology. Right. You're just insulting your brother.
Exactly.
Yeah. Again, I love my sister. I love my family, but the reactions have been terrible. My mom has pretty much sided with my sister, radio silent to my husband. They used to talk every day, saying I crushed Amber by calling her out. If it was my intention to hurt Amber, I succeeded, even though she told me she agreed Amber was in the wrong. I should have just let it go. That she doesn't want to pass away knowing I broke the family. Dang! My brother wants nothing to do with it and has dropped communication except one conversation also taking her aside, saying her silence was better than me raising a stink, saying he would hate to have his health fail and have him pass away knowing the family was in shambles. What? Why do they both do that?
Why are they passing away?
Why are they all passing away? He's like, I would hate to pass away knowing everything. You ruined freaking everything.
Right.
Her partner, Tim, silence. Amber completely silence after issuing me an ultimatum. Unless I can prove to her that I'm not a selfish, ungrateful, gaslighting liar, then she's done with our relationship. Preferred outcome, to have my family back. Realistic outcome, maybe I can get them to agree to family counseling to repair what little is left of our relationship. But in all honesty, it looks pretty grim. But you know what never looks grim? Listening to full episodes of stories like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime.
Just search it.
And there is a little bit left to this story, but do you have any final thoughts?
Dude, I just feel like we got hit with like brand new information. Like I feel like I don't know like what's going on anymore, you know?
Neither
like,
do I. They're all blaming OP for, like, the mom literally said, hey, this is your honeymoon, don't worry about us. And then everyone was like, you're not helping at all. And OP's like, I don't know what's going on.
Right.
Everyone's being mean to me.
This is like, yeah, I don't understand.
But there is a little bit more to this story.
Let's do it.
I don't want to sound dramatic, but my heart literally hurts every day. I wanted to give my husband an actual family that would love him for him. I felt with all my heart it would be my family, but they all prove that's not going to happen. Dropping it and forgiving her mistreatment would only result in me resenting my family. I don't want to lose them, but feel so abused by them. I'm lost. I don't know what to do. So am I the a-hole for asking my sister for a proper apology, or is it even worth it at this point? I honestly honestly would take any advice because both my husband and I are at a total loss. Thank you. And that is the end of that story.
Wow.
Man, oh man. What do you do?
I feel like maybe they just need some time apart.
Yeah.
For a second, like, you know, before you get an apology, before they, I don't know if they want an apology, but like before things are like actually resolved, maybe just take a step back.
Yeah.
And then maybe things will just kind of resolve themselves.
But that is the end of that story.
Woohoo.
But not the end of this episode. So we'll see you for the next one.
My sister-in-law refuses to have a relationship with me, so I matched her energy.
If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best.
My 30s female sister-in-law, 40 female, and I are married to brothers, both 40s male. I used to be close to my brother-in-law, gifts and cards and trips, and generally a great time. And then he started dating sister-in-law. By the way, this comes from Popular Impressions 43. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. Gifts stopped. Then, for like 2 years, he wouldn't even make contact with me if she was around. It hurt like heck, and I continued to be nice as usual.
He had a crush on her before.
Then, I guess, she took over gift giving and would ask for expensive things while not getting us comparable gifts from our lists. And the last time we exchanged gifts for the holidays, she gave my husband the leftovers from a larger gift she got from brother-in-law. My husband told me that I really shouldn't care about them and just have the relationship I want. So he took over gift giving for the nibblings, and we said we aren't giving gifts to brother-in-law and sister-in-law anymore. Great! When brother-in-law turned 40 a while back, I sent him a gift, as I was still making an effort then. A few months later, I also sent sister-in-law a gift for her birthday. I didn't even get a birthday text from her. When my husband turned 40, he got birthday texts. Sister-in-law turned 40 in November. We sent her texts and left it at that. It has been years of texts only, and I've stopped caring entirely about their lives, because they certainly make zero effort to know anything about ours. Anyway, we saw them for Christmas. At some point on the 26th, after a fair amount of booze and during a conversation about gifts, sister-in-law mentioned that we didn't acknowledge her 40th. I replied that we sent her wishes. She said that it was a milestone birthday and we had sent one to brother-in-law. I asked if they had sent anything to my husband for his 40th, and she got this sour look on her face, then said, "We don't have kids, so we have way more money and can buy whatever we want." Granted, they make a lot more than we do and spend like crazy. I replied that our relationship has been a one-way street for a long time, and still is, since we put in actual effort to show up and help, host holidays, and give the kids gifts. I added that I am simply matching their energy, and if that upsets her, the ball is in her court. She then called me a witch, and I said, like I said, I'm matching your energy, and I went to bed.
OP said, "I know you are, but what am I?"
My husband stayed to talk to his brother, who said his wife is mad and hurt, and it's all our fault. When husband said that he saw how hurt I was when brother-in-law pulled away, he confessed that sister-in-law was jealous and didn't want us to be close anymore.
Knew it.
Called it. Husband said he understood, but unless they decide to actually show up in our lives, they can't expect more of us. He also pointed out that the only time brother-in-law was ever close to him or me was when he was single in between one long-term relationship, and that with sister-in-law. Brother-in-law made excuses, her insecurity, the kids, us, living in different cities, etc. Brother-in-law asked for an apology for sister-in-law, and husband said that she started the entire problem, so the onus was on her to do better.
Yes. Husband putting the foot down.
I'm surprised because a lot of the time, like, siblings will either like take each other's side. It's like you don't take sides against the family kind of a thing.
Yeah, but no,
So-
they're both standing for their ladies.
This is like, it's an unfortunate situation, but it's like a good green flag for both of these guys, like standing up for your lady. One of
Yeah.
them's obviously wrong.
Yeah, one of them is super
One of them
wrong.
is very, very wrong.
but
it's
I guess,
like,
you know.
you gotta stand up for
He's
your
like,
partner.
I know I'm wrong, but I have to stand up for her.
Stand on business, damn it. Brother-in-law said that this is just how she is, and I'm afraid she'll cut you guys out of the kids' lives if I don't apologize. At this point, husband said, if you let her drive us away completely, that's on you, not us, and also went to bed. We left early the next morning and haven't had any contact since. His parents were already in bed when this happened, as it was around 11 p.m., so they have no idea. Sister-in-law also doesn't like their parents, by the way, and talks mad trash and acts like the victim, because she is slightly uncomfortable around them since they are quiet people. Anyway,
I literally didn't start this fight, and at this point, I'm not sure if it's worth the drama that will inevitably continue by apologizing. Husband says that it's worth it to keep the peace for his parents since they are getting frail and love seeing us all for the holidays. So, am I the a-hole for not getting my sister-in-law a birthday present?
No, done.
No.
Easy.
You didn't do anything. You've given gifts. They don't give gifts back.
Yeah.
Like, their gifts are considerably worse than the ones that you are giving.
Like, why would you continue to give a gift to someone who never gets you a gift?
And it's like, you sent the birthday text. You're matching that energy. It's a respect is earned, not given scenario. She clearly doesn't respect the brother or her husband's brother and OP. So we do have a couple comments. First comment is, not the a-hole. This is so petty and ridiculous. Relationship values are not based on gifts, but time and effort. She seems pretty toxic. One of my sister-in-laws is exactly the same. None of us even understand how our lovely, sweet, gentle brother can even be married to such a venomous woman. We avoid her at all costs, and our brother visits regularly solo as we all adore him. I can't even imagine saying to my own mom, you didn't get me a gift. Although she always does despite me begging her to keep her money, as I am a grown woman and can buy my own crap. And OP responded, oof, I feel for you. Some of the things that come out of her mouth are so bad. She went around blaming brother-in-law for fertility issues, for instance. Another comment, not the a-hole. Next time you are at the same event as them, only make eye contact with brother-in-law and ignore sister-in-law. Update. Thanks everyone for weighing in. I showed the post and your comments to my husband, and he didn't really want to hear it, but after a few days, he basically said that he feels like his entire life he's been trying to make his parents happy while his brother did whatever he wanted and got treated better. He decided that he didn't really feel like playing this game anymore. He ended up calling his brother yesterday to tell him that we are fine with whatever they decide, but he feels sister-in-law should apologize to me. Brother-in-law pushed back, again saying that this is how she is, and my husband told him he was worried about him being with someone who can be so selfish and insecure as to force him to end a close friendship with a family member. He asked brother-in-law if he was okay with her having that much influence over his life. Brother-in-law basically asked what he should do. They have kids, and he feels like if they divorced, she'd just turn into a bigger nightmare and the kids would suffer. He feels trapped, and he does love her, plus he says having kids really ratcheted up her anxiety and insecurity. But she's also kind of leaned into this idea that it's his job to solve all of her emotional problems, and after a few pretty dark moments when she totally flew off the handle, he just tries to keep her stable. Husband asked about therapy, and brother-in-law says, at this point, he'd try anything, but he's not sure how to get her on board, as she thinks it's everyone else who is the problem. I'm a huge Nami fan, and I always talk about the book, I'm Not Sick, I Don't Need Help, to anyone who cares. He'd recommend it as a way to get her to consider getting help. He told brother-in-law he loves him and the kids, and they are welcome to come visit whenever, but we will be needing that apology from sister-in-law, even if it's over text.
Nice. Turn the tables back on that.
We didn't get your text.
Yeah, the brother-in-law is like, I need an apology for my wife, and they're like, actually, no, and we want an apology.
This is so toxic of them. Brother-in-law said it might take a while. Husband was fine with that. He also left the door open for them to talk. Then he called his parents and basically told them that sister-in-law had been unkind to me for years, and it's come to a head. And he realized that he can't tacitly approve of her behavior anymore by just being the bigger person. He told his parents that he understood they'd want to spend more time with the grandkids, and that he hoped, even if we couldn't do family holidays for a while, we could still see them at other times. He was worried about this, but his mom was so funny. She groaned, so unlike her, and said that she couldn't believe we were leaving them alone to deal with sister-in-law.
See, no one likes the sister-in-law.
Husband nearly choked laughing. I guess her attitude hasn't gone unnoticed, and his parents spend so much time with them because they're worried about brother-in-law and the kids. They admitted that husband was always so put together, they never had to worry about him or us after we got together, but they were always concerned about brother-in-law's choices. By the way, you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. There's another relevant update, but let's discuss this first.
Oh, man. I think that they're going about it. I think OP and her husband are going about it a good way of saying, like, here's our boundaries, talking to the parents, saying, we want an apology and we'd love to have you in your life, but right now it's not going to work out if you're gonna if your wife is going to keep behaving like this.
I've been talking to one of my friends kind of recently about this, about boundaries with family. And it's hard because they are family, they are blood, and like the concept is since you are related, you are supposed to be like in it no matter what.
Allowing them to get away with anything.
It's if you look at it one way, it's the full phrase the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the room. Like, just because you're related doesn't mean you have to get along.
Yeah.
And it seems like brother-in-law is allowing, like, everyone agrees that brother-in-law is just enabling sister-in-law's behavior. Everyone else is like kind of choosing that, like, no, this is not the right way to go.
Yeah.
So her husband is choosing the wife over his own
Family,
brother, which is the right choice here. Husband was kind of pleased with that explanation, but said he did think they didn't like him as much. Mother-in-law wasn't happy. That was his take, and said that clearly she was sending the wrong message. So we'd be splitting the holidays from now on. Anyway, that's the update for now. I'm curious if sister-in-law will reach out at all. I've been trying to just let husband handle this as it's his family. We'll write more if something else happens.
And that is the end of that story. So we'll see if, anything is fixed in the future.
I don't think there is, honestly, because she seems so set in her ways. And after how many years, like, she's 40 now.
Exactly. It's
How
like
many
she's
years
kind
has
of
been
stuck there.
And with like the husband, the brother-in-law, just kind of enabling it from now on, all this sudden turn, that's going to set her off.
But that's the end of that story, so we're going to get into the next one. My sister-in-law never respected my boundaries. I've had enough.
What is it with like sister-in-laws not respecting boundaries?
Sisters-in-laws. Buckle up, it's along. In 2013, I met my husband. I was happy to know he had family in the state, because my family was 2 states away. I met his family. I saw how my husband was with his nephew, and he was the one. We wasted no time, and I got pregnant. By the way, this comes from ex-Stiltner, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. Shortly after the announcement, my mother-in-law's townhouse lease was up. I told her if she'd like, her sister-in-law and nephew could move in with us. It would help us all save money. They agreed. Shortly after sister-in-law got a job as a server, mother-in-law and I would watch nephew. But sister-in-law would always be staying out late, and later each night past restaurant closing time. Mother-in-law's car stopped working, so I then had to start driving everyone to work. I shortly found out why sister-in-law was staying out so late after me picking her up one night from work and her asking if we could stop at the bar to say hi to friends. She said she would be quick, so nephew and I stayed in the car. After an hour, I had to go inside and track her down because she didn't answer her phone. She was with several guys and girls chilling on the back patio smoking cigs with their phone screen up on the table, so I know she got my calls. After seeing me, she quickly got up and said she needed to close her tab and she'll be out. On the way home, she was asking me if her friends could come back to our house. Me, being the people pleaser, said sure. No, stop. But everyone has to be gone by 1 a.m. when hubby gets off work because he'll want to just go to sleep. One guy showed up, which is her now husband. I did let her know I didn't want random men staying the night and double checked that he would be going home. He did not go home that night, and this continued after voicing my concern and being ignored. A few weeks later, I was outside and saw 2 cats walk up to me. They looked just like the cats my sister-in-law had that she gave away before moving in. I called her outside to see them, and she told me the person gave them back, so she brought them to our house. Before moving in, I told her no pets because the leasing agreement said no pets. I'm mildly allergic, and I don't want the fur around when the baby comes. She told me they are primarily outside cats, so they wouldn't be in the house other than at night. I agreed. Stop agreeing. A day or 2 later, one of the cats got sick. We took him to the vet, and the outdoor cats became indoor cats. No! With one simple request, they must stay in the basement. This arrangement works, minus a few times my nephew who accidentally let them out. This worked well until it didn't. It was time to give birth. I was gone from the house for 2 days when I got home and went to lay the baby down in his bed. There was a cat in the baby's bed. This particular cat had long hair and feces in his fur. Poop would get stuck in his butt for yikes. I saw red. I told sister-in-law she had 3 weeks to figure out new placement for the cats or I will. 3 weeks came, nothing. I posted them on Craigslist and found them a new home. I am the a-hole here, but my buttons were pushed. Shortly after the baby came, my husband and I decided we all needed to go our own way. We paid for 2 months on the old house to give mother-in-law and sister-in-law time to figure out things. After 2 months, sister-in-law moved in with her boyfriend, and mother-in-law stayed with us for a while until she got a place. My sister-in-law got pregnant in 2015 and had a rough pregnancy. So the whole year we made accommodations for her, such as for Thanksgiving and Christmas, I cooked and brought the food to her house. So she didn't have to leave home, even though I lived only 8 minutes away. She would call because she needed something. I'd go out and get it for her and drop it off. This would become a trend even after the baby girl came. I didn't mind doing these things because it made me happy to help and makes things easier for others. After her baby came, my nephew's dad started feeling some type of way about seeing my sister-in-law moving on with her life and asked for split holidays. which meant more accommodations for sister-in-law. For instance, if nephew was with his dad for Christmas, we waited until the next weekend to celebrate. This happened for Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and birthdays. Also caused a lot of problems for my husband, who had the actual holiday off but worked the weekends. So he'd never get to go to the holidays, which cheapens the holiday for my son, my husband, and me because my husband wasn't there. In 2018, I finally re-entered the workforce and asked if sister-in-law would babysit, since she was a stay-at-home mom. She was okay with it for a month, but I ended up having to send my son to daycare because it was too hard for her to take care of 2 kids, which I understand. I like my kids, but about other kids. I brought this up because a few months passed. My husband and I wanted to get legally married at the courthouse. We asked if she could watch my son for a few hours. She said no because it was her nap time. We ended up taking our son with us, and it made the day more special. We decided our 1-year anniversary, we would have a party to officially celebrate our marriage. Sister-in-law called brother-in-law and told him they shouldn't go. It's not that important. So they didn't turn up and had their own get-together at her house, which took from our guest list. In 2020, sister-in-law's hubby goes overseas for his job, and sister-in-law gets lonely. Who does she call? She asks for me to bring her things and come chat. We make this a weekly thing. Why are you staying up all night, chatting it up? And we started to bond more and vented out our frustrations with our relationship, and we grew closer for this. She was upset about the cats, and then I took her brother away from her son. My husband would always visit his nephew before we got together, but also they moved in with us, so husband and nephew spend more time together, but okay. I was mad she always crossed boundaries, refused to go to my house or my hosted event, and used me. We grew from venting and promised to put the past away, which hurt when she told me her family are moving overseas for her husband's job, but she would be back during the summer. We both cried when we said goodbye before they got on the plane and promised if we needed anyone to talk to, we would answer each other's calls. We talked all year leading up to summer. When she entered the country, she wanted it to be a surprise. As soon as I heard, I loaded up the car to go to mother-in-law's, 2-hour drive there and back, just to see her. We talked about what we could do during the summer, made plans. She'd come stay at my house for a few days to visit friends near where I live. Weeks go by and never hear anything from her. I only hear from her when she's about to go back and is having a going away party. Second year, she comes back. I'm pregnant and having a hard time, so I don't want to travel. She drives 6 hours south to visit family that she never goes and sees, and another 8 hours for other family, but could not drive to see me an hour away. But I go and visit for a few hours the last day of the trip to show off the bump and say goodbye. Third year, the year I had enough. I had my second baby. I drop off the face of the world. I make a plan for makeup, Christmas, and birthday presents for her and the kids. I want us to go to a resort that has an indoor water park and event, all expenses paid by me. I contacted her 6 months in advance, and she said she needs to talk to nephew's dad to see what days would work out.
Oh, hold on. Did
Yeah.
she just say all expenses paid by her?
Yeah.
For everyone to go on this
All the
trip?
kids, yeah.
But why?
She wants to be nice.
There's being nice and there's just inviting more trouble.
Yeah.
Because it really doesn't seem like there's much action behind sister-in-law's lip service.
Sister-in-law is putting in like literally no effort into this is a very one-sided relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I contact her again at 4 months, nothing. 2 months, same. Weeks before she comes, I let her know this needs to be booked or the cost goes up and I won't be able to afford it. She lets me know that her daughter, her, and a friend are actually going there. I told her that's okay. I still want to go there because they can have a friends trip and we can have a family trip a month after with my nephew. I just need the days now to book. Nothing, and decided it's not gonna happen. Day before mother-in-law's birthday, we reached out for plans for her birthday, and she agrees to come to my neck of the woods with mother-in-law so kids can go to the new indoor park in town. The day of, she acts like we never talked. I then screenshot and post in family chat our conversation, and no response until 3 days later to see if I wanted to book the resort trip still. I was livid. I told her about how everything with her is so one-sided, and she never tries to make an effort when it comes to seeing or doing things with me, but will do and go anywhere for other people. I no longer want to play her mean girl games. I've done so much for this woman, and all I get is disrespect. I'm over it. I refuse to see her or see her off. So she goes back overseas, and before doing so, she posts pictures of her trip. The caption says, "Glad I got to visit most of my family." Do I reply? Yes. Sorry I didn't get to visit you, but it wasn't from lack of trying. Your schedule was too full. Then I added screenshots of all the failed promises. By the way, I can promise you that we have more full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search Poke Storytime. But there is a little bit left of the story. Do you have any final thoughts?
My thoughts are just, what is the rest of the family saying about this?
What is OP's husband saying about this?
Mhm.
It seems like it's OP's cross to bear this whole time.
They're not blood relations. They're only in-law relations. So like, why is OP the one who has to make all the effort? Like, I get maybe the husband is working a lot. It seems like he works odd hours, and
presumably this is his sister.
Yeah. So it doesn't make sense that he's not the one interfacing.
Exactly. Once she touched down, she saw my comment and deleted it and unfriended me. She private messaged me and said I needed to keep things private. I then blocked her after choosing words and haven't spoken to her since. She's tried to reach out to my husband, but he also feels like I wasn't out of line, and he's warned me that everything is one-sided with her and not to do anything for her because she won't return the favor. I didn't listen because I wanted us to get along. Am I the a-hole?
So I think that's probably answering my question.
Yeah.
Is that the husband already knows?
He already knew who she was, and he warned OP, and OP was like, no, like, I can get along with her.
He's telling her, like, it's not worth it. She's never going to actually try. So I think it was a do it at your own risk.
Yeah, probably.
Kind of
I think he was like, I don't know, I don't like my sister. And she was like, what? Come on, we got to do something. And he's like, no, like if you want to hang out with her. But that is the end of that story.
My sister-in-law is so self-centered, it's tearing our family apart.
Yeah.
About 9 months ago, I posted a story about my sister-in-law. Some commenters encouraged me to write a longer post and suggested this sub specifically. This has been in my drafts for ages, but now I'm posting it. By the way, this comes from user Vima86, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, before I go in, I want to give you the breakdown of the players. I have 2 older brothers. The oldest brother is Alan. The second oldest, the middle child, will be Connor. Alan is married to a woman I'll call Lily. Connor is married to a woman I'll call Kara. It's hard to figure out where to start, but I guess it'll be the background that I know about Kara. Kara is from California and came from an affluent family. She attended private schools, K through 12, before going to an Ivy League institution. Not to be one of those people, but she's never had a real job. She was an influencer before influencers were a thing, like blog, podcast, Instagram. She wasn't successful at it. Oh. She really lived on her parents' dime.
Dang.
Shoot. Well, at 30, they basically said they would stop supporting her financially. She married her first husband shortly after. From what I can tell, she went no contact with her parents after the wedding, which I assume they paid for. It also seems that she stopped talking to her siblings around the same time. Just making assumptions. She was pissed she could no longer mooch off of her parents, and siblings were on the parents' side. Siblings seemed to be successful in their careers. Her first marriage only lasted a year or 2 before divorce. Not sure why exactly the divorce happened. She then had a serious boyfriend who she lived with. Shortly after breaking up with him, she started dating Connor, and things got serious very fast. Now, to my experience with Kara. The first time I met Kara, it was interesting. I've met significant others' parents before, and I'm always a nervous wreck and walking on eggshells. I feel like even the most confident people would feel a little bit anxious meeting perhaps their future spouse's parents for the first time. Kara was not. She met everyone at the family wedding. She met everyone at a family wedding as Connor's +1. She was someone who was very confident, but it didn't always meet her competence.
Overly confident.
Overconfident, undercompetent.
Ooh, that's good.
A bad combo.
Yeah.
Like she would very confidently turn to someone and say the wrong name or wrong information. I remember at one point, she went up to my cousin and said, "A wrong name. Oh, I heard you're a lawyer." My cousin gently corrected her on her name and occupation, and when she does, Kara scoffed, rolled her eyes, and continued the conversation. She literally did what you just said.
Yeah.
She literally was like, that's what I said, whatever.
Literally what I said.
She was very comfortable with us and said some things that I was like, I wouldn't say that upon meeting someone for the first time, but I dismissed it. The first time she met my wife was a whole other experience. My wife wasn't at the aforementioned wedding, as she was the working the day of. My wife is of Samoan descent. Kara is white. When she met her, Kara immediately led her on to a string of questions. Where are you from? Oh, well, what are you? No, I don't mean your occupation. Like, what's your, like, ethnic background? Once she finally got to know that my wife was of Samoan descent, she made a comment that she was like real-life Moana, and then made comments like if her brother plays football and if her extended family makes canoes.
She was like, let me look up some stereotypes. Does your family do this?
She's like, I'm going to fully lean into this.
Yeah.
My wife gently pointed out that the questions were based on stereotypes and a bit racist. Kara jumps in. I'm not racist. I have all sorts of friends who are people of color. Okay, Kara, that doesn't mean you're not racist, or at the very least, have inappropriate questions and comments. But there was my wife and I's wedding. Then there was my wife and I's wedding. Basically, I danced with nearly every family member, including Connor. Next morning, I got a text from Kara saying that she didn't like Connor dancing with other women, and him dancing with me made him uncomfortable. Your brother? Your brother. Your brother. Your brother.
Your brother. And also, you're gay?
I made a post about it a couple months ago. She's also been frankly rude to Alan's children. He has two. For example, we were having a dinner one summer, and one of Alan's children fell and skinned his knee pretty bad. He was 3 or 4 when this happened and started wailing loudly. You know, like typical child behavior. Kara rolled her eyes, looked at me and said, ugh, isn't he so dramatic? Like, no, he's a child. I mean, I know a good portion of adults who would cry at a fall like that.
Oh my God. He was like, he hurt himself and he's crying. Just like,
ugh, kids, right? So stupid.
Yeah.
My wife and I also have twins. Frankly, I've tried to keep them away from Kara. Our twins were born 4.5 months before Connor and Kara's first. One of our twins happened to have a name with the same first letter of their first, and they're somewhat similar. Think Hector and Henry. We had no idea what they were choosing. When we announced the names, Kara threw a effing fit. Like my family is visiting in the hospital room, everyone's excited, and we see Kara suddenly leave the room, and Connor followed her. He came back and said she was crying, and we were like, oh, happy tears? Like thinking it'll be her in a couple months? Nope. We stole her baby name. We didn't even know what their baby's name was. So how do you steal that? We didn't even know what their baby name was and didn't share ours with anyone. Our name is a family name. Hers is just one like it. It's not even the same name, just the same letter. She ended up using the name anyway. Connor and Kara have 2 kids together now, and I really don't like to mom shame because parenthood is hard. However, she's not maternal to the kids. The couple instances I've engaged with her while she has kids, she doesn't engage them in any way. No talking, no faces, no playing, etc. She seems completely uninterested in her children. I do have a cousin who lives by them and sends her kids to the same preschool they send theirs. It's been communicated that their oldest, who's now 4, has some sort of behavioral issue. It's to the point people don't invite them to play dates, birthday parties, etc., and Kara refuses to give him any kind of help because everyone is a hater and he's perfect.
That's sad.
I know parenthood is hard, but as someone who has 2 kids practically the same age, it really hurts me that she's not getting him help and he's being excluded because of it. Failure of the parents. I could probably write a book about the absolute crap we went through, and I'm probably forgetting some things. It's just hard to deal with it. Edit. Originally included this, but deleted it. Shortly after the first was born, Kara made the decision to move across the country. She didn't have any reasoning for it. They packed up, and Connor left his family and friends. I really think this move was to isolate him from us. Alan and I are basically no contact with him. My parents tried to talk to him for at least a month, but the relationship is strained. Kara is just really a hateful, spiteful bitch. There's several truly hateful things she said to nearly every member of the family that I didn't include just because it would be doxing. It's honestly been so horrible. And here we go.
Yep,
we got an update.
I hope it's like Kara leaves.
I agree. A couple other things since Reddit seemed to be mad at the length of the post. Talking about social issues, my wife and I are both lesbians. After about a year of dating, I had dinner with Connor and Kara and Alan and Lily. Earlier that day, my wife and I went to our city's annual Pride Parade. We were talking about it at dinner, And Kara said with a smile, I'm so glad you two are so open about being low-key kind of a slur.
A hacky slur. Girlie, you can't say that.
Yeah.
You can't say that.
Karen is straight. Straight people should not be calling queer women the D-slur.
Yeah.
When I calmly said that word has historically been used as a slur against lesbians by straight people and that I and 99.9% of queer women weren't comfortable with her calling me that, she defended herself, saying she had several gay guy friends.
Oh my God, I don't care about your friend. And also, gay guy friends, one. And also, two, I don't care if you have queer friends or people of color who are your friends. Don't give you a pass.
Yeah.
Don't give you a pass.
Truly.
You're just a horrible person.
Truly.
That's it.
Yeah. Just imagining that in any other context, and it's so, so bad. Great doesn't mean you should be saying it. She's made some other comments about us since and how brave we are. While my wife and I are proud to be gay, sometimes we just want to live our lives as just humans married to other humans. And someone like the straight sister-in-law brings it up quite often. Kara and Connor got engaged shortly after my wedding. It was a nice wedding, mostly because my parents paid for it and therefore could keep the reign on things. However, there's 3 instances of what the F behavior. Like I mentioned, Kara had been married before. Her and Connor were in their mid to late 30s when they got married. Connor had mentioned wanting a smaller, more intimate wedding, and this fact combined with their ages, and this is her second wedding, we thought it would be a simpler, smaller wedding. Nope. Kara wanted the full 9 yards, all on my parents' dime. The wedding favors. My mother loves favors and giveaways. For Alan's wedding and my wedding, she picked really awesome favors. Like I see people and they bring them up. Nice. That's a flex. Obviously, my mother was excited to help Kara pick out her favors. Kara chooses a magnet. A big, gaudy magnet. I'm literally staring at it right now. Yes, I still have it on the fridge. God bless you. It looks like it was made by a 4th grader. Big curly font that says Alan and Kara, their wedding date, and then a heart with a picture of them. We had several that were left behind.
Yeah, who wants... I don't know, man. I don't know, man. No one's going to keep that up. That no one cares about your wedding.
It's true. That's ending
as much as you care about your wedding.
Ending up in a drawer, in a bag. It's tucked away in the dark somewhere.
Like, your favors have either got to be, like, nothing to do with your wedding, or they have to be edible.
Yeah. And I'll let you know right now where we've left all of our episodes behind. It's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and wherever you get your podcasts from. If you want to listen to full episodes, like all of the full episodes with stories like this one, just go there and search OK Storytime, wherever you listen to podcasts, and there you will find us. We'll never leave you behind. I mean, anyway, I'm just going to move on from that. So we do have a little bit more story here.
Woo!
I'm just going to roll right into it.
Roll right in.
Because, I mean, I think we all know who's in the right. I think we know who's in the wrong.
Yeah.
Watch out. If your partners are trying to isolate you from your family, you may want to examine exactly what they're doing that for.
Yeah, probably not good.
Just saying that
probably ain't.
For anyone who may need to know that.
Yeah.
Anyway, our last little bullet point here is children at the wedding. I have a niece, Alan's daughter, who was 3 when Connor got married. She was a flower girl at my wedding the year before and was perfect and adorable. We always thought that she would be a flower girl at Connor's wedding. Kara said she didn't want a flower girl at her wedding or any other kids. Totally fine, understandable. That is until the day of the wedding when her best friend's 4-year-old shows up to the bridal suite. Turns out, Kara decided that she did want a flower girl and wanted her friend's little girl to do it. Also, she told all the people on her invite list to bring children. Wow. It was honestly very upsetting to all of us. Instead of just saying she didn't want the niece to be a flower girl, she lied to all of us. She then decided her husband's only niece and nephew couldn't be at the wedding, but her random college friend could bring her gaggle of children.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, she sounds like a selfish piece of crap.
Nightmare.
And
but nobody likes her.
You gotta rescue Connor.
Yeah.
Rescue him.
Let's have a little rescue mission.
How do we rescue Connor?
Heist.
How do we do it?
So you break
fake
in
Instagram message implying infidelity.
I was kind of going the route of kidnapping.
Oh, like forcibly removing him from the premises.
Yeah, middle of the night.
Don't know how legally that'll work out.
Middle of the night. My sister-in-law keeps trying to make a move on me. I can't take another minute with my wife's family.
Take it as compliment.
Hi, y'all. I didn't elaborate about my wife's extended family in my prior post. But to be frank, they are mostly just plain nasty. My wife has a younger half-sister from her mother's second marriage. But from what I'm told, the half-sister's father was very emotionally abusive to my wife. But from what I'm told, the half-sister's father was very abusive to my wife and didn't stick around more than 10 years before flying the coop for reasons I didn't know. And because my wife has different father, she also had different grandparents. By the way, this comes from Dad, who stood his ground on the OK Storytime subreddit. So my wife's father is a very nice man, and we get along very well. He divorced my wife's mother early on in their marriage because she's completely toxic. Because of having different parents, there's a 7-year age gap between my wife and her half-sister. Said half-sister ended up being pretty much the baby of the family, and they paid little attention to my wife once sister-in-law was born. So my wife left to live with her father full-time at some point in her teens, and her mother made a huge stink about it because without her, she no longer got child support money. That woman has also been nothing but crass and snide to me since I met her. I think mainly because I'm not rich, since she bluntly said my wife could do better. I make a decent yearly salary, so I cover my expenses just fine, have my own house, and now a wonderful family. Sister-in-law, as I said in the first post, was the golden child. She was brought up pretty much all the stereotypical ways that you can imagine. Never held accountable. Never made to pay her own way on anything. Got into all kinds of trouble because she was spoiled rotten. You can think of her as almost having been an embodiment of Veruca Salt minus the rich enabling dad. And when she first met me, there was quite an awkward and nasty period before she met her baby daddy. Around the time my wife's sister turned 18, she came visiting us more often and also started asking to spend the night on weekends. I left that decision up to my wife, and she allowed it because she hoped it'd help her and her sister become closer as siblings. But over time, I noticed sister-in-law was hanging around me more. And she was dressing in skimpier clothes and complimenting me a lot. She loved to pinch my arms and said I was like a Ken doll with muscles. I would be so uncomfortable around this age. Then one day, she actually tried to put her hand on my crotch. That was the last straw, and I told her to leave. Good. She said I didn't know what I was missing. She said I didn't know what I was missing before my wife laid into her and they had a huge fight. Sister-in-law said my wife didn't deserve a man like me before storming out. I guess sister-in-law found me attractive and thought she could take me away from my wife, or perhaps she just wanted to bait me. I don't know. But I do know that I'd never let something like that happen. I love my wife dearly. She's a positively radiant woman who knows how to make me smile every day. I could never be unfaithful to her. But sister-in-law didn't give up. She got her cousin in on things and continued to harass us. Sister-in-law heavily flirted with me on multiple occasions whenever we visited mother-in-law over the next couple of years. She even started getting her cousin involved, and together they actually ganged up on me at a family Halloween party once. They were both dressed in skimpy animal ear cosplay outfits and actually proposed we go upstairs and have a ménage à trois together. This is so incredibly inappropriate and just like harassment.
It absolutely is.
Harassment.
Oh my goodness.
I would not go to those things anymore.
Yeah.
I'd be like, hey, I'm completely uncomfortable, and if this behavior continues, I just don't feel comfortable going.
Yeah, like I'm just gonna stay away.
Yeah. I not only declined, but said they both needed to find some nice single guys their own age. Then immediately told my wife what happened. She laid into them in front of everyone at the event. But mother-in-law sided with her golden child and got several other relatives to have her back by claiming I was lying to make trouble. So we just left to avoid more drama. Around the time sister-in-law's 21st birthday came and went, mother-in-law called us furious that we missed the birthday and didn't even send a gift. And apparently sister-in-law was crying over it. I said I was not comfortable around sister-in-law because she attempted to seduce me multiple times. And my wife said that it was not my choice, but hers whether or not to send a gift. And she didn't want to because of what sister-in-law did. Good. And mother-in-law never even so much as scolded her for it. Mother-in-law called it young hormones and said families shouldn't be so cruel to each other.
That's like saying boys will be boys.
Yeah, this is so weird.
You can't just be like,
yeah, it is what it is.
The young hormones are gonna make them.
They're so stupid.
Excited.
Yeah,
have these feelings.
When you were 18, you were literally a moron.
Right. Right. But that doesn't like give them any excuse to like harass him like this.
No. Also, I'm full sarcasm there. You're 18. You're an adult. You're an adult.
Right.
You shouldn't be doing that.
Exactly.
There was another big fight between mother-in-law and my wife, and we went low contact with the bulk of her family for a while. Then, 2 years ago, my wife's grandmother passed away. She left most of what she had to her son, my father-in-law. But among the things my wife got was all her jewelry. It was all vintage antique jewelry that had been passed down to only women in the family for years. And we had the collection appraised and was valued as a whole at several $100,000 because the jewelry was not only vintage, but some of it was around 200 years old. Wow. Ooh. We decided it was best to keep the jewelry locked away in the grandmother's jewelry box, which in itself is also a valuable handmade antique. We figured that was it, but all was not well with mother-in-law and sister-in-law. They both had showed up at the reading of my wife's grandmother's will, and mother-in-law was appalled she got nothing. I wonder why. Maybe it's because you're a bad person.
Maybe.
Even more so after finding out my wife got the jewelry. My wife's grandmother had no relationship with sister-in-law at all, and barely one with mother-in-law. So sister-in-law wasn't even mentioned in the will. Mother-in-law threatened to take us to court and contest the will, but never did. Instead, she tried getting nicer to us. She's just trying to steal your stuff. So this is the grandmother on OP's partner's father's side. So like, why would the sister-in-law get anything? They're not related.
Yeah, what? That
doesn't make any sense. So sister-in-law wasn't even mentioned in the will. Mother-in-law threatened to take us to court and contest the will, but never did. Instead, she tried getting nicer to us. And my wife decided to give them one last chance and allow them into our home again. But as soon as our backs were turned, they tried to make off with the jewelry and all its contents. Nope. I'd gone out to pick up some pre-ordered food for dinner, and my wife was distracted by mother-in-law. They had a whole plan! Sister-in-law had pretended to use the bathroom and raided my wife's vanity. But I caught sister-in-law outside by sheer chance when I pulled in the driveway because I wasn't gone as long as they'd hope. As soon as my headlights flashed her, she dropped the box on the ground before jumping in mother-in-law's car and locking herself in it. Wife and mother-in-law came running out when they heard me cursing up a storm. Wife saw the smashed jewelry box and freaked out. Mother-in-law realized she and sister-in-law were caught and had a huge fit over how she believed my wife didn't deserve the jewelry. I got between them and mother-in-law hit me a few times and even drew some blood with her sharp nails. But she drove off before we can even get a word in, and once my wife said she was calling the police. Good. You need to file a police report on these people.
Yes.
Not only did they attack you, but they also stole from you.
Stealing from you, drawing blood, like, I mean, okay, this might sound bad, but like, it's nice at least that there's like physical evidence that they're being physical, because there's a lot of times when there's like not, and it's like, but they did attack me. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, I mean, very silver lining, but like, obviously it's still awful.
Gotta take what you get. Yeah. We left the evidence untouched on the ground and called the police. Mother-in-law and sister-in-law were arrested, but basically got a slap on the wrist with only community service and a fine. The jewelry box was badly damaged. It had a long crack that started up one corner and went all the way to the top, and one of the brass hinges broke. I took it to someone who restores old stuff, and it cost hundreds of dollars to restore it. Wow. I went to see mother-in-law and said she and sister-in-law were paying for the repairs to the box, or we'd be taking them to both to court over it. Mother-in-law told me that wasn't happening until I brought up the fact we still have documented police evidence. Sister-in-law tried to steal the box, and I could also sue mother-in-law for attacking me. She wrote me out a check to cover the damages right away and told me to leave. I said that the check better not bounce or have a stop payment put on it, or I'd have zero problems taking her and sister-in-law to court. The check thankfully cleared without issue. We got the jewelry box back looking even better than it did before, but we decided the jewelry wasn't safe in our home anymore and had it put in a secure safety deposit box, where it has remained to this day. The incident was also what made us decide our home needed cameras, and we've since installed some. Then, from my first post, you all know what sister-in-law did by copying the baby name my wife and I chose, which was also the name of my grandfather. So you can read how that went. Yikes. Yikes.
That's weird.
That's so embarrassing. You can't even think of your own name.
Yeah.
You have to like be like, oh, what sister? Like, what are you going to name your child? And they're like, oh, we're going to name him Jeremy. And you're like, well, that's my name now. Like, go think of your own name.
Right. Or like, I wonder if like if OP and like his wife weren't even planning on that yet, but they were just like, just in case.
Yeah.
You want to do this now? It would be weird if you did because our kid is named that.
What I didn't say in that post was how much my wife's other relatives that sided with sister-in-law put us through, especially mother-in-law and sister-in-law's cousin. Mother-in-law called and texted us repeatedly from a variety of different numbers, demanding we changed our son's name. Wait, like you had already both before and after he was born. Okay, so it seems that they had made those plans like while he was conceived, obviously. And then she was like, you need to change your son's name after he was born.
Dude, that's like the audacity.
The audacity. We never once even humored her. And the cousin harassed us online multiple times. I ended up pointing out the time sister-in-law and her cousin had cornered and tried to proposition me. And then the cousin blocked me on Facebook. And when people started questioning us both about it, since mother-in-law had kept that situation on heavy damage control back then, several false rumors were spread about us, and my wife's family ended up divided and are still divided now because of this. But mother-in-law, sister-in-law, and sister-in-law's cousin and a few other family members close to them were fully on their side. They believed that it didn't matter where sister-in-law got her baby's name. Said name was hers now and we needed to let it go. I fired back that there was nothing to let go. Sister-in-law copied the name we had and we still used it because it was my grandfather's name. I also think I misread earlier. This is OP's grandfather's name. There's no relation to the sister-in-law here. It's not her grandfather.
Oh.
She was like, oh, I want that name. Yoink. And he's like, that's literally my grandfather's name.
Yeah, what? But also it's like, okay, well then, like, if they're making such a big deal out of like, you know, it doesn't matter where they got the name, like, it's theirs, they chose it, then can't it be like, oh, well, then like, I feel like it wouldn't be a big deal then that they had the same name. You know what I mean? Like, then,
like if you
then
wanted
it doesn't matter where I got it. It has actual like
meaning
significant meaning to me. So like that's why I chose it.
Yeah.
So then that does mean then earlier then with the whole jewelry situation, if this is the sister-in-law and the mother-in-law and it was the wife's grandmother that died, so then they did have a kind of relation, but I guess they didn't have like an actual like relationship. They had a familial relation to the grandmother that passed away, but not like a relationship with her that would make her want to leave things.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was different. It was like not actually related.
No.
Just clearing things up.
No, yeah, I know it's weird. This is weird. You're weird for this sister-in-law.
Yep.
We weren't asking sister-in-law to change her kid's name. We just weren't going to change our son's name because she copied it.
There you go.
Stand your ground. And since we weren't going to associate with them anymore, the two kids would be complete strangers to each other anyway.
There you go.
They're like talking to the mother-in-law. They're like, don't even worry. We're going no contact with you guys. So it's not going to be a problem.
Exactly. Not going to be a problem.
The false rumors spread about me and my wife were pretty bad. For me personally, sister-in-law tried to claim I was secretly only into younger women and I'd leave my wife as soon as she hit 40. And she also tried to say that my son isn't really mine and claimed my wife had an affair because I wasn't getting her pregnant. Yikes. I never asked her to do it because I never believed them, but my wife got a DNA test just to prove I am my son's father to them. After that, rumor mill died down and eventually stopped. By the way, I don't want you guys to stop listening to full episodes with stories like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime. And there is a little bit left to this story, but do you have any final thoughts?
No. I don't know. I think just the same stuff that we've been saying. It's just like they just have such a skewed perspective of what's going on, and they're blowing things out of proportion, and they're making it everyone's problem, and it's just like, leave us alone.
Leave us alone.
Like,
leave me and my baby alone.
Yeah. Like,
please.
why are they so obsessed?
Obsessed.
It's
embarrassing. And OP finishes off. After the mess where sister-in-law and her baby daddy nearly broke up and she changed her child's name, we were paid a visit by the cousin. She demanded we pay the money owed to sister-in-law for the name change. What do you mean? What money owed? You can't just charge people money if they have the same name as you.
What? What?
She screamed at us that we ruined sister-in-law's relationship, and now her child's new name will always be a reminder of what we did. I simply told her to leave as we didn't start this mess, and we didn't even try to end it. We just wanted no part of it. Sister-in-law's cousin flipped me the bird with both hands and said she wished she could do it with her toes too. Then left.
So stupid.
So stupid. Before she got into the car, I said if she ever tried to come back, I'd call the police and file for restraining order. And that's pretty much it, as we were and still are completely no contact with mother-in-law and sister-in-law and the cousin too. And that is the end of that story.
My in-laws spread misinformation about my son, so we went no contact with them.
Just censor them.
Get censored.
You're canceled.
Get censored, you goofball.
And say it exactly like that.
Yeah. For starters, I am an extremely big supporter of mental health, especially since I suffer a lot with issues myself. I and my partner see absolutely no issue with our children being on the spectrum. Our issue is with how this was addressed by his family. By the way, this comes from user Joint Witch, and if you want to submit your stories, do so on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. To the story, we went to a big Thanksgiving dinner at my mother-in-law's house with almost every member of his family in attendance. During the after-dinner chatting, the subject of Ontario schooling came up. Now, normally I don't speak much during these big family events due to being shy and generally disliked by most of the women in his family. More context on that later. But as I have a degree in youth care and a strong opinion on the matter, I figured this conversation would be a good chance to connect with some of his family, like he's been asking and wanting me to do. Almost immediately when I spoke up, they changed the topic slightly to being about how wonderful it is that the system has so much help for troubled children. His aunt-in-law gave me some side eye while discussing this and mentioned that I should find it useful. I tried to brush it off and said it would definitely be if my children ever needed that help. She made a nasty comment on how, quote, I need to consider my children's needs more. All this in front of my 2 kids. I left the room and took the kids outside for some fresh air and better company. Hello, birds. My daughter, female 11 from another partner, but who my current partner adopted unofficially ever since we started dating 8 years ago, actually does have some issues, which we are addressing with doctors in the school. However, this jab in particular was directed at our son, male 2, who is non-speaking. He makes gestures, makes eye contact, he babbles nonstop, and has a great understanding of instruction, but he does not yet speak in sentences. We have been to see our family doctor, a child development specialist, and are also in talk therapy with him. All of the possible tests at this age have been done and confirmed that he has no medical issues. He just really doesn't feel like talking yet. After our breath of fresh air, we returned to the house. My guess is that the conversation had shifted to being about us because as I stepped back into the dragon's den, aunt-in-law started speaking louder, as if I could somehow not hear her from a foot away. She said verbatim, quote, it's just so sad that children don't get the help they need all because the parents are too in denial. Right, Amy? Which is not my real name, but she was speaking to me and looking directly at me. At no point did I lose my cool. I replied back, quote, we aren't in denial, Karen. Yes, I named her this on purpose. The doctors have told us that he just needs time. And this opened the floodgates, which is crazy that the doctors, this is definitely the kind of person who's like, what does a doctor know? I know best. Aunt, what doctors? Me. Multiple. Sister-in-law. Well, not a specialist, obviously. Me. Yes, we've seen a specialist. Actually, we have 3 doctors who have confirmed that he's not on the spectrum. Aunt. Well, then you need another opinion. Sister-in-law. An actual specialist said that? Aunt-in-law. Can Leo, my partner, again, not a real name, confirm this? Me. Yes, he's actually the one taking him to talk therapy. Lots of at this. I decided to tell Leo that I wanted to leave right away after politely disengaging from the conversation. For context, he was in the bathroom the whole time this was happening. Dinner did not agree with him. I cried the whole way home.
John, you've been dancing a lot.
I'm going to give you a live demonstration and you're going to see it too.
Show me those hips. Oh, damn. That is a good move. But you know what is Also, an amazing move.
What is that, Sam?
Becoming an OK Storytime member.
Yeah, that's freaking right. We have 60 plus hours of exclusive live streams on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
It's only $5 a month, so go to the link in our description, youtube.com/OKOP show/join.
Well, let's get back to the story.
My issue was not that they had concerns, which they later insisted that was all it was. My issue was that I clearly stated that we were caring for him, and they made it out as if I, yes, me specifically, somehow was not in front of everyone, including my kids. Yes, it gets worse. We found out that they had been spreading this misinformation to other corners of the family tree, talking about how in denial we were about our son's needs and how we were setting him up for failure. We received multiple comments from others who were not in attendance about why we were treating our son this way. Leo contacted both his aunt and sister to ask that they apologize for their behavior, to which they insisted they didn't need to apologize for simply having voiced their concerns. Our point was that if they had concerns, they could have brought them to us directly and privately instead of making it into a big shaming scene at a family event. Yeah, you can't fool us. You did this to bash us. You did this to dunk on us in front of the family.
It did not seem like there was any care involved at all.
Like Leo, like the direct relative of these people, which is your partner, your husband / boyfriend, whatever. Leo needs to be calling them out, right?
And he is.
Like he's Babe Ruth calling his shot. Says, you can't do this. We are taking care of our kids. You need to shut your mouths. Worry about your own business. They also said that our efforts weren't good enough. That was crossing a line and was being disrespectful to us as parents. Them then spreading this to others like wildfire, trying to paint us as the bad guys. They both insisted we were crazy. That's the actual claim. And in denial for wanting apologies from them. Also, they were somehow both under the delusion that I was forcing Leo to ask them for apologies, which was not the case, and that I specifically was the one creating drama and tearing the family apart. His sister saying, well, if it's not autism, then there's something else wrong with him, was our final straw. I had to be the one comforting Leo, who was beyond pissed at this point and just wanted to go no contact, and convincing him that an apology would be adequate enough. For me, an apology would mean that they are taking accountability for the things that they've said and done at the bare minimum. At most, it could mean they're genuinely sorry for those things. He gave them an ultimatum. They apologized and promised not to treat me harshly in the future, and then we can start fresh. Or he plans to never have contact with them again except for in case of family emergencies. Slightly more context, aunt and sister-in-law have always been outrageously rude and insulting to me at every family gathering since I started dating Leo. From downright ignoring me, small comments about my looks, to saying I'm the only thing wrong with my daughter, and outright claiming that I tried to trap him in a relationship by lying about my very real fertility issues. This is just the point at which we've both had enough of their thinly veiled abusive behavior. I'm not sure if I've left anything out or not, but I'll try to answer any forthcoming questions. So, am I the a-hole? You know what? I think you'd almost be the a-hole for continuing to have these people in your life. Like, I think you need to completely, for yourself and for your kids, like, you don't want these people around them. They're othering your children. They're verbally abusive to you. It's like, just cut them off. You're not being an a-hole. You're being too nice. You need to be more of an a-hole.
I'm not trying to be rude, but when people share stories around like people that are so like objectively being awful, and then they're like, but am I the a-hole?
So we do have an edit and probably a little update here. Let's get into it. You are all so amazing and your responses are heartwarming. I have a bit more context to add. This toxic behavior from both of them is the reason I've begged Leo not to attend these family gatherings up until this particular event. He was insistent I just try to be nice and ignore it. He is now finally starting to see this behavior for what it is and is willing to go no contact. The difficult part about going no contact resides with his mother, the mother-in-law, who has also treated me in the same way, but was not part of the above conflict. In fact, she sided with them at first, saying that we were exaggerating things and making her choose sides, even to the point where he said he would go no contact with them, and she said, well, I guess you don't want to ever see me either then. However, things have smoothed over with her to some extent, as she is very important to Leo, but her hurtful comments towards me are still an issue. By the way, if you have an issue with not having enough okay story time in your life,
I have an issue.
I have great news for you because
Tell
you
us.
can get full episodes with stories like this.
Really?
All you have to do is go to your preferred podcast platform, whatever it is, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, anywhere where you can get podcasts. Search OK Storytime, and boom, you'll have all the episodes your heart could ever desire.
Is this really true?
It's true, and we're adding episodes every day.
No, every single day?
Every day we're adding episodes.
Now you know. Now I know.
There is some more story here. I think clearly, well, what confused me was I thought OP was trying to talk Leo back from going no contact, but then seemed in the edit context update like she was glad he was moving towards no contact. So I'm kind of confused about that. But I'm fully on no contact here.
I would not be upset if they went no contact.
For mostly just for the children, like for the stuff they said about the kids.
But yeah, for the
Until
sake of
they
them
come
not
back
saying
groveling.
more
I mean,
hurtful
begging.
things in front of the kids.
They need to show extreme remorse for the things that they've said and done. But let's finish this story. Lastly, I showed all of this to Leo, and he agrees that he should have recognized their behavior, or at least believed me when I told him about it, a lot sooner, and is very apologetic for forcing me to go to family events for this long. We aren't married yet, but he plans to elope with me to avoid the unnecessary family time.
Eloping is
What a
sweet.
W right there.
Mm-hmm.
There he is, respecting your desires, right?
It's hard to see the BS of family until some people point it out sometimes.
It truly is. And even when they point it out, there can be some resistance to it, where
For
it's
sure.
like, nuh-uh.
It's your family. It's like
nuh-uh.
You've had to
You're
warp.
programmed.
It's so often that someone has to warp their way of viewing reality because reality is too uncomfortable to be with. And then someone else who hasn't done those mental gymnastics in order to be okay with a situation that's not okay is like, that's not okay. And you're like, no, I have a structure built around this.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Thank you all again for the amazing amount of support. And yes, for our sake and the kids, we are officially going no contact with these people.
Go.
And mother-in-law's on low contact until she can treat me as the woman that matters most to him. Those were Leo's words.
Oh, sweet.
W husband.
W husband.
W family. I mean, not the ones that are no contact. Your family, your husband, your son, your daughter, you. W. That's the end of that story. I don't want my future sister-in-law at my wedding because she's jealous of me.
What?
Never done this before, but here we go. This is going to be very long, spanning years, so I hope that's all right. You can call me Shay, 34 female, and my fiance Jay, 35 male. Jay has 2 siblings. An older sister we'll call Eve, 37 female, and a younger brother we'll call Sed, 33 male. Sed has a fiance as well, who we'll call Nikki, 27 female. By the way, this comes from user Jonathan Anubian, and you can submit your stories on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, for some context, I am autistic. Just enough to be weird, quote unquote, and have issues that need some accommodation, but not enough that people can see it right away during conversations. I am constantly told I don't act autistic, which is a whole other problem in and of itself. I've been friends with Sed and Jay since we were in high school. First with Sed because he was more outgoing, later with Jay because we both shared more interests. I used to go over to their house frequently to play Halo and other games. Occasionally their older sister would be there, but at the time she was a much lauded university student and had no time for her brothers, let alone some random nerd tomboy. During one Halloween, Jay asked if I wanted to go to an amusement park with him because he knew I loved Halloween, dressing up, and amusement parks. I did not know this was supposed to be a date.
Yep, that's a date.
Well, we knew.
That's a date, baby
Right
girl.
away, baby girl, baby G. I was very dense back then and had very low self-esteem. I didn't think anyone was interested in me like that, and Jay was far too shy to correct me. Fast forward out of school, and I had lost contact with them for a bit due to life getting in the way. I had a couple of boyfriends, but it never went anywhere. I bumped into Jay one day, and he asked me if I wanted to hang out like old times. So I go over to his apartment, and we play games, have some snacks, and it is a blast. But here's the thing. Jay's sister is also there. She was renting out the second bedroom of the apartment while working nearby to pay for her university courses. She didn't say much to me at the time, and back then even tried to help me with a difficult situation with my school. It wasn't much, just going over an essay to try and figure out why the teacher wouldn't accept it, but it was nice. Jay asked me to hang out a couple more times before finally confessing that he'd liked me since high school, but wanted to have a car, a stable job, and place to live before he asked me out properly.
Whoa.
Guys,
He was like,
whoa.
I wanna be the man that you deserve.
I would like to be
I love that.
I'd like to be a dreamy man, McDreamboat. before I ask you out? He wanted me to be his girlfriend. Of course I said yes, considering the title of this post, LOL. Fast forward, Jay and I are living together, have been for a while now. His sister had moved out and everything seemed fine. That's when I find out she's telling everyone I'm a gold digger and a loose woman behind my back.
What a weird term.
She's a loose woman. She's on the loose?
I'd be like, if anyone ever came up to me and they were like, oh, and have you heard about so-and-so? They're a loose woman. I'd be like, are you from the 1800s? What's going on here?
Trying to break me and Jay up? Jay is a welder. He is not made of money, and neither are his parents. I do live on disability, but that's because of a car crash that wrecked my spine when I was 16. I lived in pain every day of my life. And even if I could work, no one wanted to hire the autistic girl. This community is pretty insular and judgmental. I've had jobs before, but they never ended well. Jay and I are happy with our arrangement. I stay at home to clean, cook, and make handcrafts to sell while he goes to work. He's never complained about it, and even if he had, that's between myself and him. Things go quiet for a while. His sister has moved over 7 hours away and never contacts her brothers. We only see her maybe twice a year because she's a teacher, and it's hard to get from where she's living back to here. For the most part, things are fine. I'm polite and try not to get into many conversations with her. My biggest issue with her at the time is how she would talk over my fiancé. He used to have a bad stutter, but it's gotten much better over the years. Maybe because I don't talk over him and actually want to hear what he has to say. She criticizes everything he does, berates him, and humiliates him in front of their family, which certainly wouldn't help a stutter. She never lets him formulate a response and hammers at his confidence until my brilliant fiancé is so checked out he just starts reading on his phone and not engaging in any conversations. But it's only twice a year, so I it up and am polite, like how an adult should act. Fast forward to about 2 years ago. Sed meets Nikki and we're introduced. We have very similar tastes, very similar attitudes, and we click immediately. It's like having another sister suddenly, and it's awesome. Future mother-in-law suggests that the three girls get to know each other better and go to the big city on a girls' day.
Does this not sound like they're about to go to the big city?
Ooh, we're about to take a wagon into town.
Into town.
A big
boy.
trip into the city. We're going to get some salt water.
We've been living on the prairie.
Taffy.
We're about to go to Independence City and eat some taffy and a bottle of Coca-Cola.
Oh, wow. For 3 pennies. I'm not really okay with it, but since Nikki will be there to commensurate with I think it'll be fine. It was not fine. Eve was commanding, doesn't listen, ignores our every plea to slow down or let us stop for a rest, refuses to follow the map, and criticizes everything we suggest doing. In the end, we only get to do a fifth of what we wanted. And since Eve and her mother bullied us into using Eve's car, we would be stranded if we didn't keep up. It all comes to a head when we sit down at a restaurant to eat and Eve learns that Nikki is 10 years younger than her. Suddenly, everything Nikki has said, no matter how logical or reasonable, is completely disregarded. I can see Nikki getting more and more upset as the day wears on, so I suggest going to a shop where we can grab some teddy bears. We're both collectors.
They're teddy bear collectors? I mean, I guess
that feels like the most Little House on the Prairie thing we've read so far.
That's what I'm saying.
They're collecting teddy bears in town?
In town.
Where do you even do that?
Because, like,
on a whim.
People do, like,
find some teddy bears.
Now, but teddy bear collectors is really specific.
So, of course, this teddy bear collecting makes Eve roll her eyes, because clearly such childish delights are beneath her. This woman teaches children 6 to 8 years old. Fast forward further and Cedric asks Nikki to marry him. We're excited because we'll actually be sisters in the near future. And the gates of the bad place have been opened. Suddenly, Eve texts our fiancés, her younger brothers, this huge, long thing about how I am an evil, manipulative person who made Nikki hate her. Because Nikki is too young to have her own agency, even though she's been working and living on her own since she was 16. How her brothers never messaged her. She never messaged them even once in all the years I've known them. And how her life is falling apart. The inflammatory things she said about me and Nikki were so bad that when I showed my uninvolved friend without context, she asked if Eve was Jay's toxic ex-girlfriend. Yes. She's giving off super clear vibes here. Like, what is going on here?
I don't like it. Something's fishy.
Yeah, something is afoot. Nikki and I knew that Eve wouldn't listen to us, so we went to speak to our future in-laws to resolve the issue calmly. But Eve had gotten there first, crying on the phone to her mother and blaming everything on me. During that talk, neither Nikki or I could get a word in edgewise, and I went from being described as a mastermind to autistic enough to be considered a child more times than I can count. Jay's father even shouted over me to shut me up. Jay's dad is 6'5" and broad-shouldered. He is a massive man, while I am 5'4", and while broad-shouldered, I am still a fairly small woman. Having a man like that yell down at me is terrifying.
Just like a man yelling in general.
Yeah, anyone yelling is scary, honestly.
Icky.
Ever since then, Jay's mom has been trying to force his sister into every part of our wedding. She tried to get her to be my maid of honor, but Nikki had already been chosen. Then she tried to make her a groomsman. No, what the F. And then as the planner for our engagement party. She didn't even show up, and it ended up being a party for mother-in-law's friends instead. Eve even told myself and Nikki that she blocked us on Facebook for her own mental health, because apparently seeing two happy women who would be brides before her is just too much. At this point, I have cut all contact with Eve, not that I had any to begin with, and refuse to go over to Jay's parents' house. She is still invited to the wedding, but I really don't want her there. So, am I an a-hole for not wanting her to be at my wedding, where she'll make it all about her and potentially cause a scene? Let me know.
I don't think you're the a-hole.
No.
I think that she's been causing scenes, and she's made it very clear that she does not like you. Why would she even want to go to the wedding?
You're inviting someone to the wedding who so obviously will be making the wedding about them.
Yeah.
They're going to try their hardest to make this day and their presence at your wedding about them.
Don't invite her.
Quick edit, something I forgot to add. Jay and I have been together for 10 years now. He helped me through 2 years of therapy and medication for depression, anxiety, and childhood trauma relating to being abused and exploited from the ages of 4 to 12. He is my rock and my safe harbor. I love him dearly, the giant dork. And second edit, Nikki said I could mention this. Mother-in-law took photos of Nikki's wedding dress while we were at the bridal shop. Her wedding is 6 months after mine, and then sent those photos to a friend of hers and Eve without permission. Mother-in-law offered to keep the dress at her house, but that trust was already broken once, so Nikki's wedding dress is now safely at my place.
Smart.
Yes. Very smart. And we have an update. Well, let's get into it. If anyone is still reading, the wedding happened, and although Eve was there, she was practically a mute. So I think multiple people told her to keep out of the way.
Good.
Thank goodness. My mom also told me that she had to drive Jay and Cedric's mom, now my mother-in-law, to the venue. Since they were alone in the car for 20 minutes or so, she was able to explain to Jay's mom exactly how horrible Eve had been to me and Nikki.
Shout out to your mom.
Shout out to the great explainer. And also shout out to the fact, a rock fact, that you can find full episodes with stories like this. All you have to do is search OK Storytime on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts from. So the only bad quote unquote thing that happened was someone the photographer to include Eve in more photos than I wanted. But I have enough of them with just myself, Jay, and the other assorted family members that it's mostly fine. Other than that, the day went off without a hitch. I'm still going low to no contact in that I refuse to go over to their house, but I will go out to restaurants or out to a public place with them. Nikki is in the same boat as me, so we've decided to be buddies and sit next to each other between Jay and Zed, so we'll feel more comfortable. And that's the end of that story.
Oh, and they're living happily on the prairie.
There we go.
For the rest of their days.
Happy prairie folk.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law is coming to my wedding, but I didn't invite her.
Oh, that's awkward.
That's awkward. Apologies in advance for the paragraphs. Just looking for a gut check here to see if I'm being a bridezilla and get perspective on how best to navigate the situation. I, 31 female, am marrying James, 36 male, next year. His brother Matt, 34 male, has been married to Paula, 34 female, since before I met James. By the way, this comes from Coffee Now Please on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So Paula is very nice and we get along well when I see her, which is once a year for the holidays as we live across the country from James's brother's sister-in-law and her parents. But we aren't close for the rest of the year. We have very different interests and lives and just don't really keep in touch. We FaceTime James's family every Sunday when Matt and Paula and my future father-in-law and mother-in-law all get together for dinner. And Paula will usually say hi and then go back to whatever she's doing. Paula and I exchange happy birthday texts on our birthdays, and occasionally she'll heart react to a photo in the family group chat. But that's about the extent of our relationship. This is all completely okay with me. I don't feel the need to force a closeness that isn't there. And as I said, we all get along great when we go home for the holidays. I'm in the middle of planning my bachelorette trip. We're not doing a bridal party or groomsmen, and I invited 6 close friends and my family members who I've known between 8 years and my entire life. I mentioned something about the trip on the last FaceTime with James's family, and everyone was like, that sounds like it'll be fun, and we moved on. And I thought nothing of it. But the next morning, James was chatting with Matt, who said in a very offhand way, oh, Paula wanted to know if OP could send her the details for the Bachelorette so she can get her flights and stuff. James was taken very off guard and was like, I'll talk to her. And Matt was like, great, thanks. And then they changed the subject. I am so baffled by this. Paula has never once given me an indication that she believes we are or wants us to be any closer than we are. We hang out once a year during the holidays. I can't remember the last time she asked me a question about myself. She didn't even text me when my dog passed away. And again, all of this is completely fine with me. I don't need my fiance's brother's wife, who lives in a time zone away, to be my best friend. But it truly never occurred to me that she would even want to be invited. If Paula were the one getting married, I would never in a million years expect to be invited to her bachelorette, let alone assume I was invited. This all happened on Sunday and Monday, and I still just don't know how to respond to this, especially because Paula didn't reach out to me directly. Here's the part where I'm worried I'm being an a-hole. The path of least resistance would, of course, be to invite Paula, but I just don't wanna. The friends and family who are coming to my bachelorette all have met each other already and mesh well and are extremely important to me. I'm the only person in this group chat who Paula has met, and we have such a surface level relationship that I feel we barely know each other. The trip is going to involve a lot of hiking and outdoorsy stuff in a location that's very special and nostalgic to me. Paula prefers to stay indoors and has skipped the family's annual Christmas walk every year that I've known her. Ooh.
You can't skip that.
Come on, man.
What is this?
Family bonding right there. I don't think she would have had a lot of fun, and I also don't want to be worried about her experience the whole time. And beyond all of that, there is a part of me that really resists capitulating to the expectations of someone who has not even told me directly that she would like to come. I would never even dream of inviting myself to someone's bachelorette, let alone doing so via a game of telephone. We're heading to James's family for the holidays next week, and I'm so anxious and truly don't know how to handle this. I really don't want to hurt Paula's feelings, but I want to be surrounded by my closest friends and family at my bachelorette, and we just don't have that kind of relationship. Do I just leave it alone and wait for Paula to bring it up? Or do I proactively sit her down and talk through it? Do I just get over myself and invite her? There are some comments, but what would your answer be?
I don't know. Yeah.
I usually go the route of like leave it alone until someone else brings it up, and then I'll be like, hey, like now that you mentioned it, like I'm sorry, like it's just kind of meant to be, or like I didn't think you would want to come because I know we aren't that close.
Yeah. I think putting it on her would be the best move.
Right. Like, yeah, like I didn't initially invite you because like I didn't think that you would want to come. And I didn't think that like because we aren't that close and we're doing a lot of outdoorsy things and I didn't think you liked that stuff.
Yeah.
But let me know if that's something you want to do.
Didn't seem like something you'd be interested in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't seem like this is something you'd be interested in.
Yeah.
And I already got tickets for everyone else.
We've already booked it. There's not an extra bed.
Already booked it.
Unfortunately. So sorry. There you go. There you go. I think that's a perfect way to do it. Comment number 1 says, I don't think you're being a jerk. I also don't think she's being a jerk. I think it's very sweet that she wants to be included or would assume that she would be. It may be a very innocent misunderstanding based on how it was talked about and where audio may have dropped on a call. Take the win in knowing that you have a sister-in-law who would literally get on an airplane to come celebrate you. That said, address this head on and be kind. And do not make it sound like you're doing a favor by not inviting her. That's our idea. That's what we were thinking.
That's a non-confrontational thing to do.
Yeah, that's our vibe.
But out of all the events in your life, this is probably the one that she would want to go to. So
reach out and say, hey, James mentioned you were looking for bachelorette details for travel plans. I'm really sorry. I think we had a misunderstanding. This feels awkward to address, but my bachelorette is just me and some of my oldest friends. I hope you understand. It's It means a lot that you'll be willing to join, and I'm so lucky to be marrying into this family. I can't wait to see you at Christmas and the wedding whenever you'll see her next. That sounds solid. Makes me nervous because of confrontation, but it's something you gotta do. OP responds, thank you. This is such helpful framing. I think this is a really good approach, and I will try it. I'm going full panic mode. I somehow did not even think about the possibility of this just being a misunderstanding. On the call, my father-in-law said something about a kayaking trip he took last year, and I said something like, oh, we just planned a kayaking day in the place as a part of my batch. And everyone was like, oh, that'll be fun. And the conversation moved on. It was truly so mundane that I was really taken off guard the next day. LOL. That makes sense, honestly. I do think that it was just a misunderstanding, and she's probably a little nervous about it, which why she didn't contact OP directly. You know what I mean?
I feel you.
Because you wouldn't want to make it awkward for future family events. So update, thank you to everyone who weighed in on my post. I appreciate all the advice and thoughts, even from those of you who called me an a-hole and or privately messaged me to tell me to basically bully Paula until she uninvited herself. I love the internet. It's so funny. I will not be doing that, but thank you so much. After posting yesterday, I sat with my feelings and tried to figure out why I was having such a strong, I do not want to invite her response, given that we have always gotten along fine when we see each other. I came to the conclusion that the thing that was really bothering me was the indirectness of it all. I couldn't understand why Paula didn't just reach out to me herself, and it made me worry that I had done something to make her feel like she couldn't. But I also decided that it was more important for her to feel included than for me to have the perfect close-knit group trip I had been envisioning. Like everyone pointed out, it's just one weekend, and she will presumably be in my life forever. So I called her yesterday evening, the first time either of us has ever called each other, LOL. And the convo went like this. Hi, Paula. I'm about to send over all the Bachelorette info. I'm excited that you'll be there. I just wanted to check in, though, and make sure that you know that you can totally reach out to me about things like this going forward. I hope I haven't done or said anything to make you feel like you can't. And if I have, I'd love for us to talk it through. Paula has a long, confused silence. That's really nice of you, but I think there's been a miscommunication or something. I hadn't been planning on coming to your Bachelorette. Me, also confused. Oh, okay. I just thought since Matt asked me to send you the info. Paula, he what? Whoa, this is bringing in completely new drama. Oh my goodness.
Wait, what?
Oh my goodness. Me, confusion intensifies. Paula, I'm going to talk to him really quick. Let me call you back. 10 very stressful minutes later, Paula called me back and basically said that Matt got it in his head about worrying that Paula was feeling hurt and left out, which she was not. She was like, no offense, this trip sounds like my worst nightmare, LOL. And he had the galaxy brain idea to like parent trap us into thinking that Paula was supposed to come on this trip instead of talking to either of us. That is very confusing.
So it was all Matt's fault.
All Matt's fault. Oh my goodness.
What the heck?
And something that's all our fault is that we have more long episodes just like this one with stories just like these on all your favorite podcast apps, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you so choose. Pick your poison and we'll be there. Just search, okay, story time. And we got you.
Boom.
We got you.
Boom.
But that's crazy.
Shoot.
That's all Matt's fault. Is so much miscommunication and so much non-confrontational stuff happening
he wants
here.
us to work out. He's probably hoping for a boys' day. He's like, okay, so if Life leaves, and then she goes there, and then I go out here.
He's just planning a really big surprise party for Paula.
Probably
wants her to get out of town.
Oh, that'd be so funny.
That would be hilarious. We get another story. My sister-in-law ruined my surprise party for my girlfriend. That's what we're gonna get. That, but there is more to the stories. Let's see. That door is so scary. I jumped. The end result is that Paula has no desire to come to the Bachelorette and never did in the first place. Matt has apologized, and this all encompasses the most in-depth conversation about our feelings that we have ever had with each other. Growth. Gotta love a stoic Midwestern family. Paula and I are also going to get dinner over the holidays, which will be nice and hopefully an opportunity for us to get to know each other better. Thanks again to everyone who gave their input, and sorry if you were hoping for a more dramatic update. And that is the end of the story.
Right.
That is so funny. I'm glad she responded in that way then.
Yeah.
So she wasn't like, I actually don't want you there. And so Paula wasn't like, okay, I don't want to be there, but also why don't you want me there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That would be so bad. But
I was thinking Matt was probably going to try and get with one of the girls. I was like, oh, you want the info so we could pull up and
so he can go there. The plane tickets are for him instead of Paula.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
The Bachelorette, dude, that'd be
That's
wild.
funny. That's funny, Matt.
Yeah,
Matt, just
that's
trying to make
Ah,
family bonds happen.
oh, how sweet, how naive.
Yeah.
But that's the end of that story.
I called out my entitled sister-in-law's over-the-top wedding demands. She lost it.
Don't wake the bear.
This is a marriage of bears. A marriage, so to speak. So, quick little backstory. My husband, 21 male, and his brother, 25 male, have always had a great relationship. His brother moved away when he was younger, and even though they're now 2 hours apart, they still regularly talk and play games online together. By the way, this comes from user deleted. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit and submit them. My husband is one of 6 kids, and they are all still in contact and on good terms. His parents are also still married. About 3 years ago, his brother introduced us to his girlfriend at the time. She was originally from a different state, but moved here to be with him. Everything was fine until about a year into knowing her, when she started getting snotty and entitled. For one thing, she refused to work and expected him to support her and her mother, whom she had brought with her when moving here. She began going through people's things, making snide comments, and even told me that I was privileged and said she would use our daughter's name for her daughter while I was in labor.
What?
So she sounds like a real gem of a person.
Oh, man.
She also wore sweatpants to our wedding and fell asleep at the reception. Classy move.
Classy move.
A lot of class I'm sensing here.
Oh, yeah.
For their weddings, we were told we need to purchase medieval costumes, drive the 2 hours to their town, bring food for the reception, play outside games, and just recently she added that we would need to take pictures on our phones for them, since they couldn't afford a photographer. I mentioned to her that this all seemed like a lot to ask, especially considering they had refused to come for any family events prior to this. And she told me if I didn't like it, I didn't have to come. I should add that my husband is in this wedding. She stopped responding to me after I said their attitude was hurtful and started telling my mother-in-law that I was hurting her again and making up stories about us punting them out of our house. This has began to affect my husband's relationship with his brother, and I feel bad, but at the same time, all of my in-laws are happy I said something to her and appalled at how snotty her and my brother-in-law have been lately. Am I the a-hole for saying something? No. People normalize checking people.
Yes.
There's an edit. I feel like I should add that my current sister-in-law, 15 female, has a birthday the day before their wedding. She specifically asked for it not to be on her birthday weekend before they had picked a date because she wanted all the family here for her birthday. Now they're saying we need to come up there the day before on her birthday to help prepare their food even though they know it's her birthday. Comment 1, not the a-hole. Here's what you do if you're petty like me. First, you rent the most beautiful, elaborate, cream-colored medieval dress so that you look better than her by far. Don't do that. Do not do that.
Maybe not, yeah.
Do not. As soon as you rent anything that's even close to a white dress, now you're the villain. You don't want to be the villain.
You could still make it elaborate and queen-like if you want to upstage her.
Yeah.
But maybe like a red. Well, that's also a thing.
That's also
Maybe
bad.
purple. There you go.
Just something not white or red, please.
Yeah.
If you don't have a costume rental place, learn how to sew today and make it real grand. Next, make 1 dozen deviled eggs. Nothing more. Last, hire 2 minions who will follow you around carrying your very long dress train and have them respond to everything you say with, "Yes, my queen." Then take pictures of her face and inbox me because I need a follow-up. OP says, LOL, that made me laugh. I've been told that her dress is interesting, so to be honest, I could probably go in a sundress and look fancier. Their wedding is less than 2 months away, so I'll make sure to follow up. And a reply to this says, you should say that cameras and smartphones don't fit with the medieval costume and that you want to stay in character. Or just have the minions take photos of you with different people like it's your own photo shoot.
That's so funny.
I support the minions.
That's hilarious.
I fully support the minion idea.
Yeah, make them dress up in those little like round puffy shorts.
Yeah.
And like have like a little feather hat.
Make them dress like court jesters.
Yes, exactly.
Ooh, we have a comment too that says you are the a-hole.
Ooh, hot take.
It's literally just dressing up and bringing a share plate. Sounds like an awesome wedding. Not hard at all. You're kind of a killjoy. I think you're ignoring all of the other context to this. OP's, yeah. Opie says, I think you'd be right if she hadn't been acting the way she has for the past 2 years.
Context.
Exactly. I mean, me being in labor and then saying she would use the same name for her daughter, that's a bit much.
I forgot about that. That's funny.
You're just being a she what? Because she likes the name? You got a problem with that?
Oh my God. While she's like screaming in pain having her child.
Exactly. There's a time and a place.
Yeah, there's a time and a place, man.
Also, it's not just dressing up and bringing a plate to share. This is a couple who has blown off the family for simple things like birthdays for years. Every time we invite them to something, there's always an excuse about money or time, and then they'll brag about expensive trips that they take and act like nothing happened. I'm used to being asked to do things for weddings. That's not an issue. Her behavior is the issue, and I'm not going to accommodate someone who treats her entire future family like crap. I do appreciate your opinion, though. And here is the update.
Woo!
The wedding was today. We arrived at the ceremony about 15 minutes before it was supposed to start, as we had been told there was no rehearsal and to just be there when the other guests would get there. We arrived, and my husband was greeted by his brother with, "Where have you been? We've been going over everything, and you weren't here." Hey, folks, that's what the rehearsal's for. Crazy thought, right?
What a good time. What a good, efficient, convenient time to do that.
This is lame. All of this is lame.
Crazy.
Again, we had been told that there was no rehearsal, but apparently his brother had decided the night before that they would be going over everything an hour before the ceremony, and we were not informed. Anyway, my husband goes back to be with the wedding party, and we sit down. They did end up getting a photographer, but she was very pushy and kept snapping in people's faces to get their attention. The ceremony was fine. Typical wedding ceremony aside from Renaissance outfits, but then we went to the reception. But to be clear, I'm pro Renaissance outfit.
Me too.
Okay.
100%.
Let's make that very clear.
Yeah, exactly.
The reception was outdoors in a barn. It had been raining all day, so there were a lot of bugs. When we got there, no decorations had been set out, and there was only one table for people to eat at. The group was 40 to 45 people. 2 hours after we got there, they started bringing the food in. Apparently, they had assigned one of the bride's older relatives to make all the food, and somewhere along the hustle and bustle of making food for all these people, the poor man had a heart attack. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
You're working this man into the hospital.
Wow.
This is crazy.
And I'm sure not paying him for all this work he's doing.
Yeah, for free. Hey, can you do this for free and also have a heart attack, please? Thank you. He was rushed to the hospital, and he is okay, but they had absolutely no backup plan. They ended up cooking all the food themselves when they got to the reception. They cut the cake without announcing it, so the photographer had to hastily run over there to get pictures, and after the cake cutting, the bride's entire family disappeared, and we did not see them for the remainder of the time we were there.
What? The bride's entire family just Irish goodbye. The whole family.
Yeah.
They're like looking around. Oh yeah, the cake's going. They turn around, just like dust. There's hay bales.
Yeah,
like
a cartoon dust cloud.
Yeah, exactly.
Just,
and
like,
you hear just like a
over.
whoo of the wind.
Yeah.
Dude.
Her mother did come to the barn every half hour or so to smoke a cigarette, but that was it. There was no dancing, no bouquet to toss because they carried lanterns instead, and the guests that were left kind of just stood around. Needless to say, it was chaos at its finest. What a terrible wedding. I'm so glad I wasn't at.
This is so funny. Honestly, at this point, I kind of wish I was there to just be like, it's just
sounds
watch
miserable.
The mess go
bug
on.
barn, I'm out. I'm not staying in the bug barn.
Forgot about
all
the
right?
bug barn.
The bug barn is where I draw the line.
That's, I think, fair.
Thank you to everyone who commented on the original post. I'm sure we will have many similar family gatherings in the future. And there is an edit. So it turns out that the man who had the heart attack is the boyfriend of the bride's mother, and he faked the entire thing. All of these people suck.
Oh my gosh.
What are we doing?
Oh my gosh.
Apparently, he is known for that.
This is so funny.
That's not a red flag, right?
This is so funny.
The mother of the bride lied about taking him to the hospital so he wouldn't have to make the food. And by the way, I won't lie to you about the fact that you can listen to full episodes of stories like this or wherever you get your podcasts. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. Search OK Storytime, and there you will find the whole catalog to select from. There's some story left here. Let's go ahead and hop in. As if it wasn't bad enough, we found out that the mother of the bride didn't take any pictures at the wedding at all, and she just waited until brother-in-law's parents put their pictures on Facebook so she could post them as her own.
I want to meet these people.
That's crazy. I don't. I don't want to meet these people at all.
This is hilarious. They've got to be like
cartoon characters in some sort of like Modern Family type like farcical like TV show where it's just everything is going wrong. There's no communication.
Yeah.
Everyone's stupid and doesn't know what they're doing and is just mad at everyone. It's just like I can't help but
Renaissance
laugh.
wedding goes wrong. That's like a Parks and Rec like episode for sure.
Yes.
She also blew up at brother-in-law at the reception because no one was talking to her, even though she kept leaving to go smoke in her cabin. They are a very odd family. Yeah, you think? There is some comments here about the fake heart attack. WTAF. The reply is, gotta say, I don't really blame him. Yeah, I mean, getting put in charge of making all that food could be pretty hard, but faking a heart attack also kind of whack.
Kind of whack, but yeah, that's... Oh, man. See, communication. Just like talk, stand up for yourself. You don't have to go to the hospital for it.
Yeah.
Sounds expensive. That sounds like an expensive lie.
Well, they didn't actually end up in the hospital.
Oh, okay. Well,
it was all a conspiracy.
It was all an act.
Yes.
Dang.
Some additional info from OP. I wanted to add a comment explaining the timing of things a bit better because I know there was some confusion on when things happened. Wedding was Sunday. The original update was made on that same Sunday, but it took a couple days to get approved, which is why it said today was the wedding and it's Wednesday. My daughter was born when I was 18. My husband was also 18. Yes, we were young, and she was not planned, so that's why the timing seems weird on that. We do have another little girl now and have recently moved into our first house. Congratulations. Thank you, everyone, for making this something so sensational. I definitely did not expect it to get this big, but I appreciate it so much. I know a lot of people were asking why I considered the outfits, drive, and various requests as too much. Hopefully this explains. This couple has not come to any family functions aside from Christmases and Thanksgiving once when they brought her mom. I don't personally have an issue with the drive. I have an issue with the fact that when we ask them to come for holidays, they use the long drive as an excuse, but then tell us it's nothing when we have to drive to them. It's a double standard type thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
The outfits are not bad, but it was the way they let us all know we needed to wear them. We were told in these exact words, quote, if you don't show up in Renaissance outfits, you will be avoided at the wedding. It's not that hard. Again, these are people who considered sweatpants an appropriate wedding outfit, the double standard again.
Right.
And no one told them to leave or avoided them. There was no RSVP. Their wedding invitations had no date, no RSVP, and full typed out web browser links on the back rather than we are registered at Amazon. That's insane.
You have to
They put a
type
hyperlink URL in. They just pasted it on the back of the paper. That's
literally
insane.
HTTPS:// and then you have to type out like the entire paragraph of random numbers and slashes and
not doing that.
Oh my god.
Not doing that.
That's hilarious.
So that doesn't seem that bad until you realize most of the relatives are older and have no clue what those links are. We're not Southern, although her family is. We are all from the good old Midwest, and whoever said weird homeschool vibes was spot on. Big homeschooled family, and they're all very closely knit. I can understand why some people considered me the a-hole. I'm not saying they're wrong at all. I probably did some a-hole stuff on my part. I'm just hoping to explain a bit better why I said something and why I was offended. Hope that clears stuff up. Hope you didn't need to clear up anything with me because I was on your side. All right?
Yeah. We're with you.
Double standards.
Absolutely.
But that is the end of that story.
My sister-in-law hates my son just because her brother is the father.
Sister-in-law, brother, son. I think we're gonna need the whiteboard.
I need
for
the
this.
whiteboard. My brain cannot
That was,
comprehend that. So I wrote this post earlier, but a lot of people insinuated that my husband did things to my sister-in-law. So time to add ages. I, 30-year-old female, am married to my husband, a 30-year-old male. We have a 10-month-old son. My husband was no contact with his family from the ages of 21 to 28 because they were nasty to him. By the way, this comes from U-Technical Potato 443 on the ROK Storytime subreddit. So he's autistic and they bullied him for it. So they also weren't a fan of me. I met my husband when he was 16 years old. At the time, I was in a relationship with someone else and my husband and I were just friends. The person I was with turned abusive very fast and I had trouble getting out. Husband helped me. We've been dating since we were 18 years old. Family was very against him helping me get out of the relationship because of reasons they still haven't told us. His sister, the one in question, was 2 years old at this time. He has not lived at home since his sister was 4. Sister-in-law is 15 years old right now. Now, from what I've heard from sister-in-law, mother-in-law, father-in-law, and all other relatives, my husband and sister-in-law were very close. He was excited to have her become an addition to the family. He played with her and really went into the big brother role for her. He still tries to, but he's a very bad communicator. He's in therapy, working on it. Sister-in-law was not a fan of me being pregnant. She avoided me, wouldn't look at ultrasound pictures, and wouldn't even look at me when I was pregnant. When my son was born, she avoided him and would run and cry when we asked her to hold him. We had no idea why. We had theories. She's scared to hurt him. Maybe she doesn't like me because for a long time his family didn't. Maybe because the baby is mixed race or jealousy. Nope. She said at a family dinner to everyone that it's because of who my son's father is, her brother. She doesn't like my son because her brother is the father. She said if the baby was someone else's child, she would be okay with him. Mother-in-law started laughing because she thought it was hilarious. My husband's older sister was confused. Husband was pissed but stayed quiet. I was shocked. Father-in-law said, that's still your nephew. It shouldn't matter. I asked husband's aunt and grandmother what they thought, and they think it's because mother-in-law encourages sister-in-law to be immature and manipulative. If sister-in-law cries, mother-in-law caves and does whatever she wants. Husband is just hurt and wants to keep the baby away from her. To those saying that my husband did something to her, I 100% doubt it. My husband as a teenager was very introverted and wanted to be alone. He didn't want to be around his family and would interact with his sister when he was forced to, but he still loves her and has nothing against her. He just didn't want to be around his parents. I'm not asking for advice. I'm just venting. I'll be talking with husband's grandma Saturday to see what we should do. Well, this isn't a good update, kinda. I talked to multiple family members on my husband's side, and they all agree that what sister-in-law said and mother-in-law's reaction was out of line and not okay. Husband aunt said that sister-in-law is spoiled, entitled, and mother-in-law has raised a very immature teenager. I don't know if this is relevant, but I found it interesting. Sister-in-law has a boyfriend and he worships the ground she walks on. She, on the other hand, doesn't even want to be around him. She just orders him around like a servant. This is what I was told. All this came to a head when we went to another dinner with them.
I just remembered a very sad, tragic tale.
Oh, what is it?
I remember when a young Samuel Donner, he wanted to join the cool kids, but instead of labeling you as one of the cool kids,
They called me Salad Boy because I ate nothing but salads. Could not trade my lunch for a lunch. Really anything.
You know what community will always welcome you with open arms, Sam?
And make you feel like a cool kid?
The great people who have OK Storytime memberships.
Oh, I heard that 60 plus hours of members only content Monday, Wednesday, Fridays.
You heard right, Sam, and it's only $5 a month.
So go to the link in our description, youtube.com/OKOP show/join. Now back to the story.
Chomp, chomp.
We planned to talk it out, but so many things happened that we decided to slowly go low contact. I had mother-in-law watch my son for 2 minutes while I went to the bathroom. In that time, my son almost choked on food I explicitly said not to give him. Sister-in-law called him a stupid baby. Husband's oldest sister tried giving my son some booze.
Okay, I think I know why though. Let's keep going.
What's so? Oh my
I think
god,
it's probably
awful.
for teething. It's probably for teething.
Okay.
Yeah,
because
which
I
is
hear
like
that,
a-
I'm like, what is this a thing?
it is a thing,
Oh,
but
you
it's
put some
like
on their
it's like
tongue?
it's like back when like the freaking Wild West. Like it's not a thing anymore, but it was at one point. A thing.
All this happened in the span of 20 minutes.
By the way, which is crazy to do that, and it's not your kid.
Yeah, well, someone's not
Making that call when you're literally not even
Ali,
the parent is
a nip
insane.
of whiskey. You know, my husband left with his dad to the store, so I couldn't just leave, but we left when he came back. After all that happened, husband is furious. I haven't mentioned it to husband's family yet, but we decided it would be best if we spent more time with the extended family and not waste time with them. If you're wondering where my family is in all of this, I live very far away from them. Sister-in-law is now 16 years old. Her birthday was a few days ago. We did not attend her party. Okay, update number 2.
Yes, second update. Let's hit it.
So I thought I was going to update again, but oh Lord, Christmas. Plus, this is more of a mini update and more insight in who my sister and mother-in-law are. My grandfather and cousin came to visit me. My in-laws extended a visit to my family members to see them for Christmas dinner. Oh Lord, Christmas.
Oh Lord, Christmas.
Oh Lord, Christmas. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law did not greet, speak, or acknowledge my grandpa and cousin. My grandpa tried talking to mother-in-law, just chit-chat, and she clearly wasn't paying attention. At one point, my grandpa said, well, OP and husband are such wonderful parents. Mother-in-law didn't even respond. She just looked at my grandpa. Sister-in-law cried the whole time.
Sorry. It was almost fast enough. I was like, sister-in-law and mother-in-law have chosen violence. Ice cold.
Ice cold violence. She just looked at my grandpa and locked herself in her room when we showed up. Husband and I have come to a decision on the matter. We will be going very low contact with mother-in-law and sister-in-law. Father-in-law and my son are very close, so I will be around them because I can't take that away from my son. However, it will be made aware that we will be taking a step back. So they're going low contact and they're going to name it to them.
Very good. Very good.
I'm still on the like, why? It seems like they were doing all this detective work of like, and then this happened and then they're just annoying and bad. It seems like, sure, they don't seem to be the most emotionally mature people, but it seems like if someone is crying, won't even look at your pregnant wife, and then when the baby is born is like, I can't even look at it, I'm gonna cry and run away. It seems like something
is afoot,
needs to be said.
Right? Something's up, something needs to be spoken. But I think
I said this earlier, but I'm still just confused on why they can't just ask the sister-in-law.
I think the aunt briefly mentioned that the mother-in-law, which would be her sister, right? She has like an inside scoop.
Wait, the who?
OP's aunt, or the OP's aunt-in-law, right?
Okay.
The mother-in-law's sister said that she was raising a little gremlin child.
Sure.
A little nightmare lady. That it's sort of like the apple doesn't too far from the tree there. So mother-in-law is imprinting all of her negative toxic traits onto her daughter. And all that has been happening since the brother, OP's husband, has been out of the picture. So I think it's just gotten to a point where it's like there is no solving this situation because the problem is our presence. The problem is that we are here with our baby and we're taking attention away from, I think her dynamic with her boyfriend also speaks volumes.
We're making assumptions here, and
we are with the information we've been given.
Yeah, I'm just saying all that could be true, but I just the point I'm trying to make is why can't we just ask?
It is fair. We should ask. I bet you they would not tell you though. I bet nothing's wrong. Go away. That's the 15-year-old's response. Mother-in-law is just gonna cry and be like, "How could you think that of me?" Because she's a manipulator.
I think if there's not physiological or psychological danger, this is a golden rule of Alex. I haven't made one. I'm making it right now.
Oh, we got the golden rule.
If there is not physiological or psychological danger before you make decisions to go no contact or low contact, in a lot of situations, you should probably have a conversation before you make that decision with.
Big facts. Can't disagree with that.
That's my golden rule.
I know there's exceptions. With that.
There's always nuance, but
speak.
That's my golden rule.
Speak to each other. That is the end of that story, which means that's the end of this episode.
Let's go.
So, if you love us, make sure you subscribe.
We love you.
And
see you tomorrow.